listeners and readers of AwardsWatch.com. This is the Awards Watch Podcast, episode 241. We had an Emmys podcast last week, so that was 240. I'm your executive editor, Ryan McQuade, and joining me today is our editor-in-chief, Erik Anderson.
Hello, hello.
Our associate editor, Sophia Ciminello.
Hi, guys.
And Awards Watch contributor, Josh Parham.
Hello, hello.
And the man, the myth, the legend, Jay Ledbetter.
Ryan, I got my puka shell necklace on, my Oakleys. It's time to go. It's time to go. It's the reason for the season. It's going to be a good ep.
Yes, because Jay's attire has been brought up because we're traveling back to the year 1999 to do an Oscar retrospective. This is a big one. 25 years ago. We've been talking about doing this one pretty much the entire year. This might be a long episode, so just brace yourselves, folks. Though we do have a hard out, so we can't go too long. But 1999, considered one of the greatest years of cinema of all time. But I'm curious right up from the start, where everybody was at in 1999. Erik, where were you in 99? What were you doing?
Physically,
mentally, emotionally?
let's see. 99 would have been my video store days. So when I was working at video stores and managing video stores, really fun. Actually, a great time for that because that was when like DVDs started becoming a big deal, and DVD commentaries were like the shortcut for film school and film knowledge in a way that like really nothing had been before. So it was a pretty cool time. And yes, 99 was really quite the year.
Yeah. It was really like the transition starting right there to the DVD.
Yeah, it was
that year.
It was a major shift that year.
Yeah, from the tape to the disc. Josh, how old were you in 99?
I was 9 years old in 99. So I can't say that I was enjoying cinema to the point where
You were watching Eyes Wide Shut.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, I was not really in there. But at the same time, I definitely was getting into movies. And so I do know that what I was watching was not anything that was considered to be great cinema, but I still kind of had my eyes on some stuff that maybe was a little bit beyond the normal scope of a 9-year-old at the time. And of course, as I got older, I recognized so many of the great movies that were coming out that year. But yeah, in the actual year of 99, wasn't really paying attention to the important works that were coming out. But at the same time, certainly was very excited down the road to revisit it. And it really is sort of incredible that there's just so many really great examples of wonderful works from a wide range of genres and mediums even. And it's really, really exciting when you look back and just what the pinnacle of that year was, that of course is not really represented in the Oscars because it hardly ever is. But I do think it is just an incredible swath of movies to look at, and I find that to be very fascinating.
Jay, I know, speaking a lot over the years with you, that when you were growing up, films were limited for yourself and seeing things. So what was films for you in 1999 like? Was it a lot of just like kids movies and stuff, or were you able to see some maybe stuff that you shouldn't have been able to see, like some of us?
No, I was 8. I was seeing Summer of Sam, Ratcatcher for sure. I was really tuned into. No, I mean, this is July. Recording this July. And 25 years ago, July 1999, I would have been at Woodstock 99, front row, watching Limp Bizkit, and just thinking to myself, that guy should be a director. That guy needs to make movies. And lo and behold, here we are all these years later. No, I was looking at the list of movies that came out. I would have been, again, I was 8 years old, and the movies that I know I saw in a movie theater: Stuart Little, October Sky, and Inspector Gadget. So there you go. Mm-hmm. Those are the three that I know I saw.
You didn't see Toy Story?
Oh, Toy Story 2. Yes,
yeah,
totally.
I was gonna say, you probably saw Toy Story 2.
I just want to say Inspector Gadget, also a movie I saw in theaters, and a movie that I recognized the Last of the Mohicans reference in because I had seen that already at 9 years old.
Michael Mann.
Do you know that he's playing the same character in that as he is in Election? Fun fact.
I didn't know that. He went
Alexander
real
Payne has
method.
confirmed that.
He like stayed method for a couple of movies, huh?
He almost went go gadget, suppress my attraction, but he never did in that film, unfortunately.
I knew Jay was going to bring the spice.
Yes.
I knew it.
Yes, this is why we have Jay on for this show. Sophia, where were you at? I know that your parents were a lot like my parents. We saw things at a young age that we probably shouldn't have. So do you have a film, Sophia, where were you like 7 or 8 at this time? Would that your parents let you watch that in retrospective now you shouldn't have watched?
Well, so I was 6 in 1999, so I was, a little young.
Okay.
For some of the bigger ones.
American Beauty.
Yeah. But for 1999, what's interesting, like my sister was 3 at the time, and her first movie in theaters was Toy Story 2. So I do remember that. That's a really fond memory. I also saw Stuart Little and a number of other, kids movies from the time. But really for 1999, I did watch a number of these a few years later when they were released like on VHS. We would get them, from Blockbuster. I watched The Insider when I was really young. My dad thought that would be like a fun movie for an 8 or 9-year-old girl to watch. Like that would be
your dad's just the best. He just knows the taste of a 9 or 10-year-old.
He just gets it. But what's really interesting, I think, about the movies that I remember from 1999, I did watch The Sixth Sense really young, not in theaters, but I remember a lot of these posters having a hold on me. Is like seeing the poster and thinking like one day I have to see that. Whether it was American Beauty or Eyes Wide Shut, like those just stayed in my mind, I think, as someone who was starting to get into movies, but also someone whose parents were very into them. My mom's favorite movie of the year, Eyes Wide Shut. She loves this movie. It was one of the only movies that she got out to see that year, oddly, and just one of the greatest. But one of the other things I remember, because I know everyone loves the stories about my dad on the pod, so I will share this. He hated American Beauty at the time when it came out, when he saw it in theaters, didn't like it, thought it was just complete nonsense and didn't understand all of the praise looking in a mirror. It. Yep, suburban nightmare.
The truth was held up in front of him and he refused to accept it.
I was going to make the joke, but I was going to leave it alone. And I knew Jay was going to come in and clean up.
I gotcha. I will say also, before we go further, congratulations, Sophia. The film that you wrote, directed, produced, the Faye Dunaway documentary is coming out this weekend as we're recording. So congratulations on that.
Thank you so much. I actually would have gone a little bit further in depth had I made it.
Yeah, I saw her own review on Letterboxd for her own movie there, Jay.
Yeah,
that's
a little rough.
Well, she did it under a pseudonym and isn't actually that proud of the work is the problem.
Yeah, exactly. It's you hate to see it.
If the whole thing had been as good as those opening minutes, I would have been so happy, because those opening minutes are so funny.
But I did learn from her that this documentary specifically, one, everyone go read Faye Dunaway's autobiography. It is a spectacular text. I didn't know she was so obsessed with Blistex. I thought that was a fun fact. Just, what? And then also that she loves astrology and doesn't get along with certain signs. So I really want to talk to her about that. But
interesting.
I digress. We'll have a lot of tangents on this episode, I'm sure. But
no. With Jay here?
No.
Yeah,
it's going to be really straightforward. It's going to be clean up.
Great movie year. I also just love discovering so many of these years later, and so many of my favorites aren't represented at the Oscars. So I'm excited to talk about that too.
Yeah, I was 9, and I saw a couple of these in theaters. I think all the animated films that we mentioned, I did see The Green Mile in theaters. My dad took me to that. So I at least saw one of the Best Picture nominees in theaters. I just remember, the marketing for things were huge. And I mentioned this in the ranking piece that I did back in May for Star Wars. That was a big marketing campaign. That poster, I remember seeing that for 6 months. Just, an incredible poster, incredible trailer, a movie.
My dad did take us to see that. Now that I'm remembering,
I saw that too, and that was actually the first time that my dad was annoyed with me at a movie, because I was 8 years old and I walked out of it and I was like, I didn't like that very much, and that was that. So
So, but I felt like
a prick was born in the year 1999, as were many film bros, as we will talk about.
Yeah, so. It is the year of film bros. There's also, I think Josh was actually the most correct so far, and like there's so many significant movies from this year from various different genres, but the number one thing is that there's a lot of great auteurs already that have made kind of underrated films from 1999 in their filmography. There are emerging ones that for the next 25 years we would see their filmographies and be sort of obsessive and dominate the culture. There's great action films. There's great comedies. It's really a lot of great comedies, actually. There's a lot of, there's great horror films, everything you want. And I think the Oscars are weird this year. I think I don't think they best represent the best films of that year, the movies that have particularly aged that well. But I do understand certain films. I understand why the 5 films that we got to, and when we play the shoulda, coulda, woulda game here in a little bit, what we're going to do to probably change that over time. I understand how we got there. I understand how we got to American Beauty as well, too. That was a movie that just took the culture in the world by force. And it took a long time. It felt like for like 10, 15 years for that movie to kind of get the turn where people were like, okay, maybe this isn't good, or maybe, it said, certain, it said certain things within independent film that we would not like to see for the next decade. But then there's also, this is the birth of M. Night Shyamalan, and this is the birth of really the Wachowskis on a grand scale. This is
not the birth of M. Night. This is M. Night Shyamalan learning how to walk. All right, the guy had already made 2 movies at this point,
but nobody knew what those movies were.
Just sleeping on Wide Awake.
Exactly. Here. He was already born. Wow. He'd been throwing up.
The M. Night Shyamalan, everybody knows to this day, was born this year. He was not doing twists and turns in the Rosie O'Donnell movie. All right, calm down. All right. This is the birth of. This is where he was on the cover of Time magazine saying, "This is the next Spielberg."
Yeah.
Which, we're sure we can.
That went so
well. Okay, well, if being on the cover of Time magazine is the benchmark.
Sam Mendes was.
I was going to ask Sophia, you got a Jar Jar impression?
Oh my God. I was,
we can't go on.
I thought you would just do one. I
it.
didn't think that you would ask me to do one.
I honestly got a pretty decent Jar Jar.
I don't want to hear it.
That is for private.
I'm going to advise
private expectation.
Yeah, I think that's off mic.
I'm just waiting for your Kevin Spacey later on.
Oh my. Let me be frank, ladies and gentlemen. I think these Oscars went just swimmingly.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anyway, we're going to talk about, we've already kind of talked about the Oscar year. Sophia kind of mentioned that, even her dad didn't like American Beauty at the time. Erik, you've actually kind of all of us, not just because of your age. That's not an age joke. You were there at the time of it, and you've kind of seen the evolution of it. So from your perspective, just briefly talk about American Beauty, what your thoughts were on the time, and were they positive? Were they mixed? And has it sort of changed with you as, like everybody else, it seems like?
My thoughts were extremely positive at the time. I loved it. And it was a major movie. And you had mentioned, I think, the poster for Green Mile. The poster for American Beauty absolutely turned everything upside down.
Yeah.
They had an Oscar nominee and an Oscar winner and opted to not feature them in any way. It was genius, and people responded to that out of curiosity. And it worked really well. It was just really, really successful. But yeah, 99 was not, 89 or 2009. So things that seem more problematic now, just like dealing with closeted gay characters in a very kind of yawn-inducing sort of way. But, very Ellen Ball. That kind of was what he became. This was his first screenplay, and then he would go on to do other things similarly, with a bit of a dated feeling on gay characters. But I mean, obviously the thing that turned the tide on the movie later was Kevin Spacey himself. I think if without that, there would be maybe a little bit less derision about it. You would still have the age gap conversation, which was not talked about at the time in the way that it would be now at all. It just wasn't. It was sort of a like the gay stuff, just that's kind of how things are, and that's what we're seeing. So it was far less problematic at the time, because not that people didn't care, but they weren't ready to shake traditional elements of things that we knew or were comfortable with societally or in movies, for better or for worse.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, it felt like the film style too. Like, the bag and the, and the camcorder and all that stuff. Like, it got parodied at a certain point.
It still, it hit the type of zeitgeist where the popularity was so huge, and scenes like that were really loved, but it made it very easy to target and satire and satirize it and make fun of it, which I think anything, once it hits a certain level, it becomes completely
a joke with,
right,
easy to joke on,
to do that.
Yeah, no, for sure. And so now it's your number one movie still, and you absolutely love it. And
I have feelings about it.
Well, I mean, is anybody actually, and this is a genuine question, is anybody positive on the film? Like they like it, I'm not saying you're going to champion it today a lot. And
I still am.
But like,
there's good things.
I still like it.
Because
there are
feels
good
like
things in that movie.
It feels like it's turned into like one of the worst Best Picture winners and over the in conversations, and I get it's because the year's so popular and everything, but like it is an interesting, like you're saying, Erik, it's an interesting artifact with 25 years down the road of like, this movie was kind of big and important, and yet now people just kind of dog all over it. Maybe that's just the internet culture of it all too.
I think it is Spacey. I think that absolutely is a big thing with that movie, and why people do want to turn on it. And honestly, because I did rewatch it finally. I took the plunge and did go back. And I think that there are some things about that story that work if you put it in the context of 25 years ago, when we were still fascinated with, how dark suburbia is, and uncovering that, which I think now just feels a little bit like it's not that interesting. I mean, Blue Velvet was already doing it, and you can argue in far more interesting ways than what this film is doing. But these performances, I still think, are across the board just so fantastic. And I do think that's the major element that keeps me wanting to support some of it. But I do think the script, even outside of just the problematic elements, I just think from a story and character perspective, sometimes feels a little lacking.
Yeah, there's this. So the reason I brought up my dad not liking it earlier is because when everyone, I think, in like my age group started to discover it, and it became, I feel like, for people I went to high school with and then in college, this like big deal of a movie. Like, it really hit people. And I remember my dad just saying, like, no, you're not gonna like that. You're just put it off. And so I did. And then when I did watch it, I didn't care for it at all. Like, he ended up being right. Some of that might have been self-fulfilling prophecy a little bit, but I think what I don't care for in it, I do agree, I like the performances, especially Annette Bening and Kevin Spacey, we'll talk about. But I find there's a thing that Mendes does in it, like a feeling that I get when I watch certain Darren Aronofsky movies. He'll always catch strays from me, as we know. But it's
Didn't
this
even
idea
have a movie
of
this
like
year.
look at this. Like, don't you see what I'm doing here? Look what I'm doing. I'm so smart. Look at this symbol. Look at this bag floating around in the wind. Look at this. Like, this is a satire, but it's saying something darker and deeper. And don't you feel something? Yeah. And that whole approach just really rubs me the wrong way always. And I feel here, like, there are some characters that play it straight up, some actors, and some that really hit the nail on the head with the satire and really get that. And I like that part of it. But I also was thinking, I think about that suburban malaise, the feeling of it. I wanted May, December, like seeing May, December, or seeing Far From Heaven, seeing, I think, what Todd Haynes can do. And then seeing this, it just feels like a first movie.
Well, I mean, there's also another movie this year that talks about the dark complexities of suburban life.
And there are just so many better movies in 1999 that it's hard not to see it as a bad Best Picture winner, I think, because of that.
J-Dog, do you got any quick thoughts?
Yeah, I think I kind of have an interesting theory with regards to why American Beauty has been so kind of knocked down the totem pole with this year. If you look at this year in general, the whole suburban disillusionment, this is the 17th movie that does that this year. That's everything. That's Fight Club is all about the disillusionment of the economically stable. That's what Office Space is about. That's what Eyes Wide Shut is about, largely. The Matrix, all of these things are kind of about that. I think American Beauty, for a few reasons, has caught the brunt of the criticism in that regard. One, because it won Best Picture, which you're automatically, the target gets bigger when you win Best Picture. Two, Sam Mendes is kind of a fraud. So his past movies have kind of caught up with him in certain ways. Three, the spacey thing is definitely a huge element of it, where you are now free to criticize anything Kevin Spacey has done in the past. I get it. But again, that just makes the target even bigger. And so it is interesting that it has kind of become the symbol for the things that a lot of other movies were doing. It's just not as cool to speak ill of David Fincher and the Wachowskis and Stanley Kubrick. So being the lesser filmmaker doing something that other people did and getting more acclaim for it has now made it a punching bag in a lot of ways.
I think that's fair. Good job, Jay. See, look at you. See,
thank you.
It's not just a silly guy. It's
not just a hat rack. That Jar Jar is going to come out eventually, though.
Yeah, that not all the jokes work, folks. Let me tell you. Well, I say we do some trivia, and then we might as well just get into the big go, the whole game of it all. Which is but first we got to do trivia, and so some of the questions I always ask every single time, guys. How many viewers watch the Oscars live in America for the 1999-2000 Oscars?
I literally just saw this on Wikipedia, so I will abstain.
Yeah, I mean,
Thank you, Jay, for abstaining.
I also studied for this, so
yeah. How does that? I mean, since we kind of know, shouldn't
just
we
say it? It's fine.
It's
you can say it out loud.
46.5 million.
I think it was 45.6, or is it 40? Am I dyslexic today?
No,
46.5.
Yes, Sophia is correct. It's 46.52. How long was the ceremony?
Oh, I don't remember. Probably like 3 hours and 17 minutes.
All right, let's do this Price is Right style. Sophia?
4 hours. 4 hours.
All right, Josh.
I'll say 3:20.
Jay,
I'll go 1 minute, Bob.
Sophia's closest. It's 4 hours and 9 minutes was the telecast.
Wild.
We used to be a proper country.
Okay, so the host was Billy Crystal. We all know what Billy does.
Blackface.
Yes. Correct, Josh. That wasn't a question, but extra point to Josh. Josh, maybe you can answer this, actually. He did 5 songs for the 5 nominees.
Oh,
what were the 5 songs that he did? What were the...
I have no idea.
Do you not know? Do you guys know what the song was for the Green Mile? It's kind of on the nose.
Had Blue Dabba Dee come out yet?
No. Green Acres.
Green Mile. It's the film for me.
Yeah. For the Sixth Sense, it was People from Funny Girl.
Oh.
For the Insider, it was to the tune of Minute Waltz. For the Cider House Worlds, it was from the tune Mame from Mame. And for American Beauty, it was That Lady is a Tramp.
God.
That was the tune.
Rude.
Yes. Who presented the 5 segments for the 5 nominated films for Best Picture. They were each individual. This was when they did one person come out at a time during the Oscars. So who presented the films?
Diane Keaton did American Beauty.
That is correct.
Or Had to hop on that one,
yeah,
obviously.
I mean, that's on brand. Does anybody else know the other four? Erik literally watched the show in his lifetime. We probably all did. Oh, except Jay.
Angela Bassett.
Angela Bassett is correct. Do you know which film?
Green Mile.
Nope.
Shit.
Sixth Sense. I just was scrolling through these on YouTube.
Yes, that is Sixth Sense. She did Sixth Sense. Yes.
Sam Jackson did Green Mile.
That is correct.
Angelica Houston did The Insider.
That is correct. And who did The Cider House Rules?
Everyone's favorite movie, The Cider House Rules.
To tell you how locked in I am to all this, I was sitting here like, who would have presented for David Fincher? And I was like, oh, wait, no, that definitely wasn't even close to getting nominated for Best Picture. So
I'll give you two. I'll give it to you guys. You guys got it was Winona Ryder. Yeah, it was Winona Ryder. Which was the film that was the outlier in Best Picture, and who was the outlier in Best Director?
Well, director was Spike Jonze.
That is correct.
Yeah, and Green Mile was the.
That's correct.
Picture. Yeah.
Who presented the In Memoriam this year?
Ooh.
Was it like a musical artist performing?
It was not. No, I'm talking about like who presented the clip reel for it, Jay. It's an actor. He's been Oscar nominated multiple times in his career.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of Fight Club.
Yes. Oh. Take your sip. Who?
Meatloaf.
Ed Norton.
Meatloaf. There you go.
That would have been awesome.
Literally on a podcast, he just took a big gulp of a drink right before. Oh, and my answer, just wait, everybody. Who presented Best Original Song?
That was a whole... No.
Just the category. The actual Oscar was presented by...
Oh.
Read the envelope. She's a big icon. Best Actress winner.
Cher.
That's correct. Who won the Thalberg Award and who presented it to the winner this year? They did it on the telecast.
They did. It was
Jack Nicholson gave it to Warren Beatty.
That is correct.
I'm getting all the Reds answers today.
Because Warren Beatty
Lakers
actually was the one that took home an Oscar that night for that household. Sorry, Annette.
God damn.
Oh, wow. That's brutal.
When you really think about what?
No, that was not even an Oscar back then. It is now.
It is. I mean, am I wrong?
How dare you?
I'm not wrong. Who won Best Actor at the Golden Globes for drama?
Denzel.
Yes, for The Hurricane. Who won Best Actor Comedy or Musical?
Wait.
Who won Best Actor for a Musical Comedy at the Golden Globes?
Oh, Jim Carrey.
Yes, for Man on the Moon.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Correct. His second consecutive.
Yeah.
What won Best Musical?
Man on the Moon. What a comedy. Just the funniest movie ever made.
It's actually a musical. What won Best Musical or Comedy at the Globes?
Toy Story 2.
Toy Story 2.
That's correct.
Yeah. That was great.
Obviously, everybody's going to know this one. I just wanted to throw it in there because it's one of the best performances of all time. Who performed Blame Candidate at the Oscars?
Robin Williams.
Correct. What were the two nominated SAG ensembles that didn't get a Best Picture nomination?
Oh my gosh.
What were the two nominated?
Was Malkovich one?
John Malkovich was one.
Yeah.
Being John Malkovich, yes.
Oh my gosh.
What were the two nominated SAG ensembles that didn't
Magnolia.
That is correct.
Yeah.
Who won Best Director at the BAFTAs?
This is great. It's Pedro Almodovar.
For All About My Mother.
I love that.
It is a wonderful win.
It's so good.
My own votes will reflect that later.
Yes. Who won Best Supporting Actor and Actress at the BAFTAs?
Jude Law and Maggie Smith.
That is correct. Jay's really.
This is such a great period too, because this was
my eyes are crossing.
This was just before the BAFTAs.
Yeah,
in alignment.
After it was just.
Yeah, this is the last year, right? Because next year,
2001. I thought it was 2001 that they came after. I might be wrong.
So
I thought it was 2000, but either way, this is the tail end of them coming after the Oscars.
I do want to see if Jay can get this one. Jay.
Yes.
This one just be specifically for him. Jay, who presented Best Director? I'm sorry, Best Picture at the Oscars this year?
I mean, truly, why would I know that? I'm trying to think. I'm sure I've seen this. I've seen
think of a legend. Just think of a legend.
A legend, of course. Who's the most canceled?
He has multiple
person
Best Director Oscars.
He's had he has had 2 films win Best Picture.
Good grief!
You're just like
he's still working.
I mean,
today.
Billy Wilder
greasing the wheels here.
Billy Wilder.
I give up.
I don't know. His name is anyone? Bueller.
Clint Eastwood.
Clint Eastwood.
Oh,
Josh, this one's for you. What was the winner of the worst picture at the Razzies this year?
Oh, that would be the masterpiece.
Yes,
that is Wild Wild West.
That is correct.
Which at 9 years old was my favorite movie.
Wow,
West.
It's wow.
You are not going to bait me into reciting that entire song, which I can do, but I'm not doing it. Nope.
Wow, West. Jim West. Desperado. Jay, back to you.
Yeah, hit me.
Who won Worst Supporting Actor at the Razzies?
Worst supporting actor. So normally a lot of times these go to
Ryan. No.
Normal people.
What, he mentioned it earlier.
Might be a little. I mentioned it earlier. I don't even know what this could have been.
Unfortunately, this was when this is why the Razzies are terrible.
I knew it was going to be something stupid.
It's Ahmad Best for Jar Jar Binks earlier.
Oh, yeah.
Earlier. Yes. Truly terrible. Terrible. Also, by the way,
don't make me do it.
No, don't do it, Jay.
I'm going to mute you.
To be fair, also really weird about Wild Wild West was that Kevin Kline and Kenneth Branagh got nominated, but Will Smith did not get nominated. Kind of interesting when you really.
Well, did he get nominated for worst song?
I think he did, but like not worst actor.
Yeah, and worst couple, and no, he skated by.
He skated by. He did not get hurt by it. What Oscars did American Beauty win, and how many did it win?
It won 5.
You know what it won?
Picture, director, actor, original screenplay, and cinematography.
That's correct. And lastly,
should have won score.
What was the film that won the most Oscars after it?
Is that The Matrix?
That is correct.
Les Matrix.
Yes. With 4. All right. That's the trivia. A little bit of Rocky trivia.
Wow.
No, Jay, you finished last, so you've been eliminated from the rest of the show. And no, I'm just kidding.
That's okay. I'm doing my best to resist the urge to do a Jar Jar over here.
No, yeah, we're not going to have you do that. Yeah, there's no need. I don't think the Phantom Menace will be brought up the rest of the show, unfortunately. So
not in the above the line.
Not in the above the line. If we did below the line, it'd still probably.
I do think some of those crafts are, because I did actually rewatch the Phantom Menace, and that sound design work is actually really good. And of course, John Williams, who I don't understand how he is not nominated when they nominated him for everything, and they didn't.
They nominated him for
one
the
of his best scores.
They nominated him for Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, but not Phantom Menace for the Duel of Fates
and all the other Star Wars stuff that's not anywhere near as good as anything he does in this film.
Doesn't make any sense. It's weird.
Well, I mean, that could be a whole nother conversation, because that Phantom Menace, just as a cultural phenomenon and what it was, sort of got beat up, not by audiences really, but by anyone and everything else, because John Williams has like 52 nominations, and
he got in for Angelus Ashes this year too.
Well, and he's had plenty of years of double. It was strange. It was strange.
All right. For any of y'all that don't know about the Shoulda Coulda Woulda game and the new revamped version this year, if you didn't listen back to the chaos that was the 2004 episode that we did earlier this year, the rules are kind of simple. So instead of everybody doing individual, we're going to do this as a team. We're going to go through the top 8 categories, and we're going to we have up to 2 replacements. So that means we have to at least agree upon keeping 3 of the previous nominees. We can replace up to 2 in every category except Best Picture. That's where we can replace up to 3. From that, we do a revote, and we can all see whether we're keeping it with the winner, which I can just guarantee you there's going to be a lot of winners probably changing this year. And we all have to agree upon that. Alliances will be made. I'm sure side betting and Venmo accounts have been open this week to see what can be arranged. I'm looking for, yeah, Eric's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm sure there's been some side text conversations. It is a lot of fun. And that's in the spirit of it. It could get heated because 99 is such a passionate year, but we're going to start with adapted screenplay. And the nominees were, the winner was the Cider House Rules, Eric's favorite movie. Election, The Green Mile, The Insider, and The Talented Mr. Ripley. So this is an open conversation. Whoever wants to start with potentially an elimination here. I think
this is a freaking layup.
House Rules.
This is a layup.
Yeah.
Out.
I think the two are a layup.
Cider House and Green Mile. Out.
Cider House, Green
Okay.
Mile.
All right.
Boom, you're done.
See, that was easy. Now comes the next part. What do we replace it with?
I would personally like to start by nominating The Virgin Suicides, Sophia Coppola's
Count me in.
directorial debut. Josh, I'm sorry, I know you're not a fan, but
all right.
Another movie about suburban malaise from a different
Yes.
point of view.
what she does with the screenplay and transforming what Jeffrey Eugenides did with the book is remarkable. She emerged fully formed. I think you can credit her as a director, yes, but a lot of it is in the screenplay. And screenplays aren't just dialogue. Her movies famously don't have a lot of dialogue in them, but she just really, I think, nailed this as an adaptation. So that would be my first one I'd put in.
Agreed. My favorite Sophia Coppola film, and I think the screenplay is kind of the genesis of what makes that movie so great. If I'm ranking 1-2, the one that I want in is Eyes Wide Shut, but Virgin Suicides is 2. Yeah.
Okay.
I second the Eyes Wide Shut.
I third.
Okay. So the eyes, it sounds like the eyes.
All right. A lot of redundancy so far. I want to hear what Josh thinks.
Josh?
Well, I had two different ones that I wanted to advocate for. One, a little bit obvious, but I feel like we have to mention it anyway, and that's Fight Club. Another movie that has also gone through a very up and down kind of legacy too, but I still think that there's a lot of really smart stuff in that screenplay that holds up very, very well. And the other one that I did want to mention is The Iron Giant.
I had that one on my longer list. Yeah, it's a great screenplay, and the making of that film is so fascinating. Just knowing that Brad Bird's sister was murdered, like with a gun, and that sort of shaped his creation of that film. Where his whole the thesis behind that movie was, what if a gun had a soul? And when you think about that film through that lens, it's really potent. So I agree with you on that one.
I agree with the.
But I wouldn't nominate either of them. I would take my two.
I would go with the Virgin Suicides. I'm going to be the one person to throw out Toy Story 2 because I think that movie is better than the original, and I think it's the best one of the bunch, and it's has a lot to say. I think in terms of the first one is a lot about Buzz and Woody and them trying to coexist in this world. But I think then this movie, the introduction of Jesse and a lot of things of like what happens, which I feel like is the blueprint for Pixar throughout the next 10 to 15 years on our generation of essentially being like, what happens when you grow up and what happens to your toys and what happens to your childhood? What happens to all that imagination and those dreams when you go away? And it's really actually very funny film too. There's a lot of great humor. It's poking fun at Star Wars. It's poking fun at a lot of these movies like that they knew were coming out already. And yet it's also quite beautiful, and so I think it's one of Pixar's best, but I know I'm the only one voting for it. But I feel like that's redundant because I think that we have our two. I think we have 3 votes for Eyes Wide Shut.
I've only advocated for one thing, and that's Eyes Wide Shut. I want to also throw out what I think is the best Shakespeare adaptation of all time, and that's Titus.
Oh, that's right.
And Beau Travail.
Let's put it through.
You're putting up 3 films?
Now we're putting up Titus.
I'm Eyes Wide Shut will be my number 1, but I want to throw out Titus and Beau Travail just to give some earworms to people in case they.
I will say I watched Beau Travail again last night, and it was incredible.
I just watched Fight Club like 2 days ago again, and
I just watched Beau Travail for the first time.
Oh, really? What did you think, Jay?
Amazing,
undeniable masterpiece.
Yeah.
All right, so we have a lot of films to.
But screenplay is not the first thing I think of when I think of.
It's not the first, but I want to again earworm because we're going to work our way up.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so look, Eyes Wide Shut.
Eyes Wide Shut.
Fight Club.
Yeah.
I'm just reading out the ones real quick. Eyes Wide Shut. Sophia's like Eyes Wide Shut.
No, I didn't say it like that.
Eyes Wide. No, I'm just kidding.
Chill out, Sophia. Jeez.
Yeah. Fight Club. Virgin Suicides, The Iron Giant, Toy Story 2, Titus, Beau Travail. Anybody else want to bring up just anything real quick before we vote? No? Okay. All right.
I have a lot.
Sounds like Eyes Wide Shut kind of had one of these noms.
Well, that sounded like it had the most votes.
Yeah. And I'm okay with that too. As well. Josh?
Yeah, that's definitely it. Now we're just figuring out the next.
Yes. So I'm gonna put in Eyes Wide Shut. That's for a 4. All right. And so I know personally for me, and maybe this is where I have to disqualify this, but doing the dive on Director Watch for Sofia Coppola earlier this year, watching the Virgin Suicides, that movie has kind of been in my mind most of the year as one of just the great films that I've rewatched and broke down, and Jay and I talked about that extensively on that episode, and I quite love that episode. I quite love the conversation. I quite love that movie. And again, it is going back to like what we were saying earlier. It's so realized visually speaking, but also on the text too, and has aged particularly well, which is the kind of contrast to American Beauty in a lot of ways. So I would be very much for that, but I didn't get a chance to watch Fight Club again. Every time I always kind of talk myself out of Fight Club, but then I know it's a very good movie, and I know that just the reputation behind it is what is, from obviously the film bros and the fandom and all that stuff is really the thing that's bothersome more than anything about it. If I just judge the film on itself, it's still a very, very, very good film in David Fincher's filmography. And
it is, but it also threads the needle of being the thing that it's accusatory of the sequence when Brad Pitt shows up on the plane and Ed Norton's doing his whole little spiel and he's like, how's that working out for you being clever? The whole movie's really doing that, and it pushes itself right to the edge of being too clever for its own good most of the time. But it is kind of one of the most enjoyable things about it is that it's always on that precipice. But
all right, guys, where are we going with this?
Well, it sounds like there are 3 votes for the Virgin Suicide.
I agree. If we're just going democratically, I think
I'm good with it. I'm good with that.
I also think this might be the only place we award that film above the line. Like with this game.
Yeah, with this game. No, for sure.
Yeah.
I think that there's places where you could, for those other films that we mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so our nominees are Election, The Insider, The Talented Mr. Ripley, Eyes Wide Shut, and The Virgin Suicides.
God, if only.
That's a good 5.
This would be a
pretty
perfect lineup. Now we have to decide, so we're going to do one by one, I guess. Sophia, we'll start with you.
Oh no, skip me. I need time really quick.
Time. Well, Josh. All right, fine. We'll go to Josh. Josh. Who would you
I would vote for Election.
Okay. All right. Josh's votes for Election. Erik.
Oh my goodness.
You want a minute?
Let me give me 1 minute.
Okay.
Because it's between 2 things.
Yeah. You know what? It is very tough. I think if I'm just going, it's not my favorite this category overall, but I play is kind of undeniable. I'm going to go election.
Okay. Jay and Josh in the election camp. Back to Sophia.
Okay, I think I'm going to swerve a bit here. I'm going Talented Mr. Ripley.
Okay.
I am also going Talented Mr. Ripley.
Wow. Well, Ryan, you have to pick between the two. Can't pick anything else. Can't have a tie.
Okay. I just want to say, for the record, I would not pick either one of these. I would pick.
You don't have to.
No,
You don't have
I'm
to.
just.
It can be a tie.
Yeah, but then that means it stays with the winner. Which,
Well,
We do tiebreakers.
we have to
We
do
did that
tiebreakers
last-
at
The
that
whole
point.
thing with the last podcast was
I'm a
being able
I'm a
to
tiebreaker. So
pull votes,
yeah, I
Mhm.
mean, I'm a tiebreaker technically.
or you're not.
I mean, I'm just gonna say what I would.
I
vote
like the
for.
idea of a tiebreaker, though.
Okay,
I don't like ties.
Yeah, I would vote for
Was
the
it
Insider.
soccer?
Of course you would. Yeah.
What do you mean? Of course I would. It's a fantastic film.
I think
It is a good movie. I did not really. I had some issues with the way that movie is written when I rewatched it.
I think the Vegas odds were heavily in favor of me picking Insider, but I
It
went
was.
election.
I was very much hoping that this would be the case.
But then
Jay
Josh would
Ledbetter.
have to choose between
Yeah.
the Insider and Ripley.
Yeah.
This is it's the long con.
If I'm the person in the middle of this, I would pick the Talented Mr. Ripley as the winner.
Okay. Congratulations.
And so the Talented Mr. Ripley
Anthony
is,
Minghella gets that screenplay Oscar he did not get for The English Patient.
there you go. And so Talented Mr. Ripley is our new
I love this movie.
winner.
Can't
It's a
wait to
great-
keep talking about it.
is
Yeah.
a great winner there. All right. Original screenplay. We have obviously American Beauty.
I mean, I have the two that I would take out immediately.
Being John
but
Malkovich,
Me too.
it's
Magnolia.
This is easy for me.
The Sixth Sense, and Topsy Turvy. Those are the
I haven't seen
five.
Topsy Turvy, I will confess. So I will
I love Topsy Turvy.
hold
I
back
watched
on
it. I watched it last night and
I
I
was ready
would
to
not-
watch it 2 hours 40 minutes. So I said some other time.
I think it's great. And
I like Michael Lee a lot.
Mhm.
wouldn't be the one I take out of this category.
I think we cut American Beauty.
Yeah,
Yes,
but
gonna
say that
that's
first.
yeah, that's
That's the
group
one.
consensus.
Then it gets
I
mean-
I think there is an argument to get rid of Magnolia, a film I love.
Well, I certainly wasn't going to be the first to say it, but now
But that is
he-
an unwieldy screenplay that you could argue is saved by the other stuff in that film, not built on the foundation of a strong screenplay in and of itself.
Which is what I would say about The Sixth Sense,
That's where I would.
That was
actually-
my cut.
Okay.
which
I
would be my cut.
That would be my cut as
I'm
well.
okay with that one too.
Yeah.
Obviously,
I mean,
the,
I'm
the,
not,
the
but
structure,
I'll
the
accept it.
structure of it, the twist in and of itself is what makes that movie such an important part of film history, which is core to the screenplay itself. But
It
Yeah.
it is, and it's largely successful by being the first in his nonstop series of them.
sure,
So it benefits from
Sort
that.
of in
That-
hindsight.
that doesn't really take away from it, because I mean, again, at the time, you had things like this and Blair Witch, which were all really just a little bit the first few years of the internet and even cell phones. So these were, you got to be not spoiled. You got to discover these twists and these endings for yourself, and why they were so successful. And they were huge. You can't really, obviously both have been copied and copied and copied and copied, even by the same people, to much less effect. So there's a great deal of importance of being essentially kind of the first.
that's fair.
I mean, how do we feel though? Because I know this came up last time, and I'm not saying I would support this, but just bringing it up. Topsy Turvy. We know how Mike Lee creates his screenplays and the process behind them. I know for some that might be a little, ding against him. here. But I don't know what you guys think about that. I always defend him when it comes to writing, but if we're having trouble, we could always go there too.
Sophia, are you advocating for throwing Topsy-Turvy out to save Magnolia?
Yes.
It's interesting. I will say I did watch. It
sounds like if we're going democracy, it sounds like Sixth Sense is going out. Didn't three of y'all already say Sixth Sense?
I mean,
the more I think about,
I mean, it is such a significant.
Spinning our tires.
It is such a significant film, also that would take away. I mean, I most likely believe M. Night Shyamalan might not stick in the director lineup, and I would want him to keep one of his Oscar nominations. Which
we're not playing that politics. We're going merit, baby.
That is politics. Well, I mean, I think that this is one of his stronger films. It's not like in years to come we're going to be putting up other films of his, potentially. But I will say that Topsy-Turvy's screenplay, there's, I mean, I don't know specifically the behind the scenes of how that was made, but that felt. There's a lot of scenes and a lot of dialogue, and maybe it's created in the moment, maybe it's not, but it felt so specific to the text and to the creation of that time for Gilbert and Sullivan. And there seemed to be a lot of care that Mike Leigh put into that. And that movie moves at 2 hours and 40 minutes. And I think with sort of like a kind of hodgepodge script, it wouldn't have, I mean, it's a biopic. So, loosely speaking, because there's still like all these other threads that go into it. But I mean, I would be considering to get rid of it because of the historical significance of The Sixth Sense, and also I don't think Sixth Sense is bad. I honestly would
bad. Don't mistake.
I mean, like I only really would.
American Beauty out, Around the Horn. What's the other one you want to get rid of, Erik?
American Beauty out. See, I mean, Ryan's making a good argument for Topsy-Turvy because yes, Mike Leigh's screenplays are generally outlines and they are filled in by the actors and by Leigh. Topsy-Turvy does have more guts behind it because it is a period piece and because there is more text to pull from versus a contemporary thing with, four people talking in a few sequences and places. So it is a more complicated screenplay than a lot of his other work. And he gets nominated almost all the time for anything, for both reasons. I would be okay with keeping Sixth Sense in and Topsy-Turvy out.
Okay, that's the vote. Sophia.
That's what I think I've worked myself like into that argument as well. Like once I brought it up, I think it makes sense to keep The Sixth Sense, and I will not get rid of Magnolia if there's anything I can do.
I'll sacrifice Topsy-Turvy for
Josh
to keep Magnolia.
The way I keep this show on the rails is unbelievable. Ryan, step it up, man.
Wow.
All right. Well, I guess I'm out of a job. Insert Jar Jar. Here we go. Josh, what would you vote? You're voting Magnolia, obviously, yeah, correct?
I would vote Magnolia out. Obviously, I love PTA. Absolutely. But Magnolia's always been a movie that I've had a little bit of resistance to, probably because it's the one that is the most closely associated with his love of Robert Altman. And we also know that I controversially am not a big Altman fan either. And I do think this movie just gets way too big at a certain point. And I think that it has the scope of it just kind of feels like somebody who is not being told no when he should have been told no like an hour ago. And it just does not work for me on the same way. So I know not everybody feels that way about that movie, but it does just feel like it's way too much. And I'm not the biggest fan of Magnolia.
Jay's face when you said you weren't a fan of Robert Altman, that's the reason why I laughed. I wasn't laughing at you, Josh. I was laughing at Jay's face. I know.
That is I adore Altman, and Magnolia is a movie I've fallen in and out of and am now in love with again after we did it on Director Watch last year. So I get it that it is a messy movie. You have to accept that movie, warts and all, and I
agree with
accept it
that.
entirely. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I haven't seen Topsy Turvy, so honestly, I like the screenplay enough for Magnolia to abstain. So there you go.
I don't know. I think sometimes Magnolia gets treated like Scorsese's Casino.
Well, Casino is my favorite
coming
Martin
after
Scorsese movie,
and Magnolia coming after Boogie Nights. And I think people kind of, because there's such a similarity in style, and because it's a massive ensemble, that it's sort of where he gets dinged is looking like he's just repeating himself.
I'm going to be
honest, that, but the unwieldy nature is what I love.
Oh, I think it's a feature, not a bug, for sure.
Yeah.
In the end, yeah.
And I think you either roll with it or you don't. And I just have like, and I think especially if you do want to do the comparison to Boogie Nights, I just think Boogie Nights has such a momentum to it that keeps you going on that journey. And for me, I just do not get the same with Magnolia. I just struggle to anchor myself in all of the different points that it's trying to accomplish, and it never has really worked all that well for me. There are good elements in it. I don't think it's a bad movie, but it is definitely one that I would rank lower in his filmography for me.
Well, Boogie Nights is also an upper that takes a hard turn into a downer. Magnolia is a bummer from minute one. So for 3 hours and 6 minutes, I believe. So
can I be the one to say a controversial opinion? If I'm being honest.
Sure.
I would eliminate.
You know what? Actually, no.
Okay, sorry. Well, I know it's not going to get. I know it's not going to get eliminated, but actually, I would keep The Sixth Sense, Magnolia, and Topsy Turvy, and I would get rid of Being John Malkovich.
Absolutely not.
I think that is
no
obscene.
I rewatched
what you
it
have
recently.
just uttered are the words of a madman.
Yeah, I mean, I recently rewatched it.
Tasteless.
And I thought I was like,
I just rewatched it yesterday.
I watched it like 2 weeks ago.
It recently too.
I thought, okay, this is. I mean, it's good. It's not as great as I remember it being. And then I watched Adaptation after, and I was like, oh, I think that this is a much better film, and I think that Spike Jonze gets better as he goes along. And
I mean, I don't disagree with that, but I am not. No,
I also understand though that movie is. I also know that movie is the classic definition of best original screenplay, and no, it would not get kicked out of this category.
That's where a cool movie gets recognized, like a weird cool movie gets.
So, for me personally, I mean, there are a lot of great elements about Topsy Turvy. I would sacrifice the screenplay nomination here.
So not having seen Topsy Turvy, I assume that's based on the song from Disney's Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Exactly right.
Yeah, they fleshed that out for 2 hours and 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Was Hunchback even out by then?
I think it was. I think that was like 96 or 97.
What a turnaround.
That's like my favorite
turnaround by
Disney.
Disney.
I'm not even kidding.
Yeah. To have like a successful animated film and then have it in its flop era. All right, so we're gonna keep Magnolia, Being John Malkovich, in The Sixth Sense. Okay.
We're gonna add All About My Mother.
Agreed. And I honestly, All About My Mother, is it going to be a sweep? Will everybody want to nominate All About My Mother?
Yeah, I don't even care about what the other nominees.
I said it like a fact, just in case.
It is a fact.
I'm there. Josh, is it in your top
I
two?
mean, one of my many mottos is I heart Almodovar. So yeah.
Ryan, can we go clean sweep here, Almodovar?
We can go clean sweep. That's totally fine with me.
Okay. All right. Then we're worried about the other one.
Well, the other one should be a clean sweep.
God.
This one should be an easy one too.
This is crazy because when I look at my adapted screenplay, like I have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 other choices. 2 of them. When I look at original screenplay at like, here's the possibilities of things that I really loved. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 films.
Well, there is an elephant in the room.
There's one elephant giant in the room.
Yeah.
It has taken the red pill.
Yes.
The Matrix is the most iconic idea of maybe any movie that came out this year.
Correct. And that would be my vote. Easily.
Yeah, I have so many that I would want to advocate for, but it is also very, very hard to say that The Matrix should be here either.
I watched it yesterday. Still freaking rules on every level. And
it would
if
not.
you
It
want,
would not be my vote. My vote would actually be The Limey. Is my vote.
Also on my list.
I love The Limey, one of Soderbergh's underappreciated
I like the
gems.
movie.
100%. Tell him I'm fucking coming.
A great play on a type of movie you've seen 100 times before,
Yes.
which is kind of the Soderbergh thing.
Yes. Yes. Okay, so we have one Limey and one Matrix. Josh?
Okay, I am gonna vote for The Matrix, but I do just want to at least throw out one other movie that I also really like, and that's Galaxy Quest.
Oh.
I've got Galaxy Quest on this sheet so many times as like my 5 through 10 range.
Oh, it might show up in another category for
Yeah.
me later down the road.
Yes, it might.
Tim
Yeah.
Allen.
Tim Allen. Huh?
Absolutely
Oh,
not.
no.
But another that I just rewatched last week.
It's the best Star Trek movie.
Yes, it is.
It probably is.
Jay, with your love of problematic individuals, are you gonna go Three Kings?
No, not Three Kings is good, but it's I like him the man more than him the writer, you know.
Jesus. Good Lord.
Oh my God.
Oh my
Here we
God,
are.
Jay. Here we are.
All right, Brian, let's mark that one for an edit.
Wow.
It's staying in, folks. We need it as evidence.
Okay, all right. Bringing up Galaxy Quest and The Limey are very interesting because they're obviously on my list, but I didn't know that other people were going to go for them. I was going to actually pick Go or Drop Dead Gorgeous. But I will push for Limey or Galaxy Quest if you guys want to I don't know, maybe agree on something later in the show.
Oh, now we're playing trades.
We're not doing this again. This is oh my God. Sophia, it's over to you. Clearly Eric's trying to make an alliance.
So my number 2 on my list was The Limey. After I do like The Matrix. Everyone knows my thing with the Wachowskis. It's fine. But I would go The Limey in terms of screenplay and writing. I think that The Matrix is a great idea, and I understand that, but it's not where I would award the movie.
Same.
So does that then make Erik the tiebreaker?
I will unless I'm fielded an offer, I will go for The Limey.
Huzzah!
But there is room for Galaxy Quest later, and I hope we're aligned on that.
I haven't seen Galaxy Quest in a very long time, so I don't know how much help I can be there, but others
I saw that in
jump
theaters.
in.
That was one I did see at
Me
9
too.
years old.
Okay.
It is so funny how the extremely bad ADR on the sequences to get it a PG rating are actually so endearing now because they're so bad, and they ironically fit the satire elements so well.
And this actually isn't even I did not know this while we were voting, but there is a beautiful irony to The Limey beating The Matrix in this category, because Lem Dobbs, the writer of The Limey, also wrote Dark City.
I love
which many people accuse The Matrix ripped off.
Dark City's great.
So there you go.
All right. Well, it looks like The Limey has shockingly beat The Matrix.
Let's
in
go.
Screenplay category. So our nominees are Being John Malkovich, Magnolia, The Sixth Sense, All About My Mother, and The Limey.
It's a great movie.
It's
I haven't seen it since college.
It's mid-tier Soderbergh for me, but
it's great.
It's fine.
It will come up later.
It's no Matrix, but not many movies are. Sophia, what would you pick here?
I am picking All About My Mother here. I love this movie dearly, and this screenplay is so beautiful. The way that it references Streetcar and All About Eve and how these characters interact with each other, the structure of it, I have to go with it.
J-Dog?
I'm going Being John Malkovich. I'm a sucker for Charlie Kaufman in general, and I love All About My Mother. That'll probably be my number 2, but to Sophia's point there, Almodovar is so indebted oftentimes to other films in ways that I love, but it makes the originality of Malkovich stand out even a little bit more for me. So Charlie Kaufman, congratulations.
Using my words against me.
Exactly. Yeah.
Josh Parham.
I am going to vote for Being John Malkovich. I agree with the sentiment that All About My Mother would be my number 2. I do really like that movie. It is still not my favorites of Almodovar. There
Agreed.
are some others that I do just have a little bit more affection for. And yeah, the originality of Being John Malkovich, I just feel like is just so singular to me. And it's not just a gimmick with that movie either. Like, it has that hook, but it actually, to me, it has also a lot to say about creativity and that process of creation that I find to be really fascinating. So yeah, that is my vote for Being John Malkovich.
Yeah, Erik.
Why do I have to go? Why can't you go?
Okay,
Ooh, good question.
I mean, I can go.
No, I'm trying to decide because my pick was.
Because he would have voted for The Matrix.
I would have fucking definitely voted for The Matrix. Now I'm kind of just like, what the hell do I do? I need a moment. That's why.
All right. Well, I will tell you then what my pick is, and it's All About My Mother, which puts you in the tiebreaker role.
All right, well, we know what's going to win then.
That's why I'm trying to
Malkovich
avoid
quote Ryan McQuade, Malkovich, crappy screenplay, Charlie Kaufman hack.
This is I
think the arguments for The Matrix actually could be said a lot for Being John Malkovich. That it is an interesting idea that has particularly not, for me, aged well, and I didn't find much more in the rewatches of that as much as I have with a lot of other Kaufman's wonderful work. I love Charlie Kaufman as a writer, and I think that is a very interesting idea, and there's a lot of very good things to it, but it's not as strong for me overall, the screenplay, as his later work. Both as another collaboration with Spike Jonze, or just when he's gone off and made his own films. I mean, a screenplay like
I don't know if I necessarily agree with that.
Well, again, my opinion. And I think that Synecdoche, New York is one of the scariest direct, written movies in a while. And I think that I'm thinking of Ending Things too is phenomenal. And again, his work on adaptation, when we talk about that in a couple of years, fantastic.
Synecdoche, New York, the scariest film ever made.
Exactly.
Puts me in an absolute spiral every time.
I have that, and I've been wanting to watch it for such a long time, but every time I'm about to pull it off the shelf, I feel absolute anxiety trying to do it. So I think that's massive, effective filmmaking by Kaufman. That being said, I love Pedro. I'll never go against Pedro. So
unless it was The Matrix, then you.
Unless it was The Matrix, because clearly that's a better movie and better written and everything. Stood more the test of time. But I will go with Pedro Almodovar for All About My Mother.
I am very much at peace with that.
A movie that is in my top tier echelon of Pedro Almodovar films, so I have no problem with that whatsoever.
Also, rewatched yesterday.
Is everybody's fave Almodovar?
Voltaire.
I do love Voltaire.
I think I'm women on the nerve of a.
No, Mother is my favorite because it is, for me, the perfect convergence of his camp value with very, very real raw emotion, and being able to juxtapose both of those things, sometimes even in the same scene and sequence, which, I mean, we'll get that later I'm sure in the show, but I think it's the best he's ever done at balancing that.
Yeah, I'm trying to find my list because I have a list for this.
Because
the one that I think is kind of awesome
in his early stuff to a dizzying degree.
The one that I think is awesome, but I would never say so in certain company is Talk to Her. I think that movie's amazing. And then if you describe the plot of that movie to anyone, they will call the police on you.
Yeah.
So
That's a lot of Almodovar stories, though.
true.
I think like
Tie Me Up, Tie Me Down.
Yeah.
Woman on the Verge of a Nervous Breakdown, All About My Mother, Pain and Glory.
I love
it's hard to choose.
Pain and Glory is amazing.
Pain and Glory, that just for even the final shot alone of Pain and Glory is fantastic.
Yeah.
So, All About My Mother.
Yeah.
That is what we have picked.
I'm not mad about it.
I am not mad about that. Best supporting actor.
Stacked. I mean, stacked.
Nominees.
You could pick 5 from Magnolia if you wanted to.
The nominees are Tom Cruise for Magnolia, Michael Clark Duncan for The Green Mile, Jude Law, The Talented Mr. Ripley, Haley Joel Osment for the Sixth Sense, and the winner, of course, was Michael Caine for The Cider House Rules. So
horrible,
disgusting.
Yeah,
I feel
right.
like,
So we're kicking Caine out.
Yeah, we're kicking. Yeah,
even he knew he didn't deserve it.
And then
we're keeping Cruise, obviously.
Yep.
Yes.
You know,
we're keeping Cruise.
Well, never mind.
I would pose my second instinct as far as who would get out next is probably Haley Joel Osment.
Oh, see, no, I'm in a push for him.
I think
to
he's
stay
very
in.
good in the movie.
No.
He's great.
No.
I think
My
he's better
outs are
than
my-
a number
my
of
outs are
adults this year.
Michael Clark Duncan.
Outs are both of the Michaels.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
I mean, I hate to kick out the black nominee, but that role is like not something I want to encourage.
Yeah,
Fair.
That's fair. Honestly, if we did have a category of 3, I would then kick out Haley Joel Osment. But yes, Michael Clark Duncan would be the person that I select there. So okay, so Jude Law, we're keeping.
He's got to stay.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the Haley Joel Osment. All right. We have 2 replacements. Got to do it.
Okay. I'd like to propose something
Uh-oh.
that we did last time with Nicole
Faye Dunaway
Kidman,
doesn't qualify, Sophia.
which is that I would like to nominate Philip Seymour Hoffman for Magnolia
I
and
was going
The
to
Talented
propose
Mr.
this
Ripley
too.
as one nomination.
Good job, Ryan, as the master of ceremonies. You can talk about the legalities of such.
Well, we have
proposals.
like most things in a court of law, or how a democracy works.
Well, you say that, but precedent
a,
doesn't really mean that much to the courts anymore. It seems.
It doesn't.
So.
It does when. Yeah, I understand. You know what, Josh? I get what you're saying there, but the way it should be.
Let's dig into that a little bit.
No, let's not. Jay, we're not doing that today. We have a precedent set here, and I'm okay with that one. I'm okay with it. I mean, we're throwing out names right now. Nothing's locked, set in stone. So
yeah.
But if you want to combine, Hoffman there for that too, I mean that's a good nomination, Sophia. I give you that.
I want to push for 2.
Okay.
John Malkovich in Being John Malkovich, and Sam Rockwell in Galaxy Quest.
Okay.
Interesting, because I was going to push for Alan Rickman.
I was going to push for potentially Rickman as well. Yeah, they're all great.
I could move there.
I haven't seen Galaxy Quest probably since 1990.
Very smart movie.
Yeah.
So
very clever.
And it's one I
would have to abstain there.
Yeah, I would have to abstain.
I'm gonna push for Larry Fish. Lawrence Fishburne in The Matrix.
I would like Lawrence Fishburne nominated for The Matrix. Morpheus, not many more iconic characters in supporting roles.
One of the greatest lines in cinema history. Quit trying to hit me and hit me. The best.
So good. So good.
Sounds like a good screenplay nomination, doesn't it?
Yeah, it would have been a great one. It would have been a great one, Josh.
I said
I'm telling you.
Consider it other places.
It's one of those where you just sit there and go,
the other one I'd like to throw out is Christopher Plummer in The Insider, who I think is awesome.
Yes, I was going to say Plummer.
Yeah,
who's phenomenal. Mike, when Gina Gershon's going for him.
One of the great lines in cinema history. Mike.
Is Brad Pitt in Fight Club lead or supporting?
I would say
that's a
I'd
great
say
question.
I think he's a lead, right? Co-lead.
I think.
I mean, he's technically Ed Norton.
I think
the whole time.
if this was an Oscar player, they might have pushed for him in supporting.
Oh, they would absolutely have pushed for him in supporting. But I was wondering, just for our purposes, because regardless, I actually really do think that's a great performance. I love him.
It is a great performance.
Yeah. So like,
he shows up like 20. I looked at it specifically for this. It was like 23 minutes, 22:50 or something like that, not including the blips. So, and then obviously he dips out at the end. But
it kind of felt supporting to me when I rewatched it.
It is. I think you would realistically, yeah, because they're the same person, but it's Ed Norton first.
But Pitt is the one that's the impression you're left with is Pitt.
Also,
not that necessarily makes him a lead narratively.
If you're that kind of guy.
Yeah. I'm good with putting him in supporting and stumping for him now, if that's what we're doing.
I also would like to.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, if we're talking about Magnolia casts earlier, I would like to consider Philip Baker Hall for Magnolia. I think he's phenomenal in the film,
awesome.
and he's PTA staple early in his career, and he's got he's got a really great arc in the film, I think, as that character from the beginning to the end. And and then Timothy Spall for Topsy Turvy. There is a complete heartbreaking moment that Timothy Spall has in that movie when they are about to cut the Mikado's song. And his performance in the Mikado song is fantastic.
Yeah.
But then everybody in the company is reacting to Broadbent Gilbert sort of cutting it out of the blue, and just the way in which he feels so gutted. He's great throughout it, and he's a veteran actor, and everybody's going to see him, and he's kind of the top bill actor of the company. And then just to see his sort of legs being cut out from under him, he's absolutely fantastic in that role too. And then Sidney Pollack for Eyes Wide Shut, he's fantastic in it. And,
the suspenders.
Yes.
I also
right,
just
so
a fun one
we've
to
got it
throw
boiled
out.
down to
Just
about
a fun
10.
one to throw out.
Yeah.
Ving Rhames and Bringing Out the Dead, because I remember liking him in that. Not gonna get votes, but
and you know who, honestly, one that I wanted to bring up, who I just love, James Woods in The Virgin Suicides is so good.
Well, Josh Hartnett in The Virgin Suicides as well too.
But is that a case, Jay, where you like the person or the performance?
It's both with that one, honestly. I mean, me and James are close friends. I almost asked him to be on the pod, but he was busy. So obviously that would have been a little unfair for him to be voting for himself on the show, which he would have done. He's a little bit of an egomaniac in that way, but we love him. We love him anyway.
I would also consider Stephen Root.
He is doing a lot of heavy lifting here.
I would also consider Stephen Root for Office Space.
Certainly iconic. Yeah.
Yep.
I love Stephen Root.
I love Stephen Root who doesn't love Stephen
Remember
Root?
he showed up in The Tragedy of Macbeth, and I was like applauding by myself.
I was just like, oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah, he's in the Cohen ensemble now.
Yeah, he's in the house there. Okay, so we've thrown out a lot of names.
Yeah, it's a lot of people.
Yeah.
This is tough.
Who was the enthusiasm with there? Should we talk PSH? Because that one was
like
the
Philip
most.
Seymour Hoffman was a big, because you're able to combine two roles there. And
Tommy, how's the peeping?
Yes.
he truly has the best line in The Talented Mr. Ripley.
Yeah.
And then I think I
mean it might be the best performance in the film.
It might be. That's the case with every movie that Philip Seymour Hoffman has ever been in.
And we're keeping Jude Law. So
yeah.
Good.
I mean, I really do think Fishburne, who's fantastic.
I'm stumping for Fish pretty hard.
Yeah, this is kind of an incredible performance from Fishburne, who's an actor that I love and has a presence to Morpheus, and I think he's the best performance in the film. for me.
But also, we haven't even talked about PSH in Magnolia, which I think is an incredible performance.
Mhm.
Philip Seymour Hoffman in the background
Him with
of
Robards.
scenes is doing more acting than
Yeah.
most of these nominees.
Him ordering the can I get some bread?
Oh, but now we got to
And,
talk about Pitt too. God.
Oh, yeah. Mm.
Can I get those? Do you have Hustler? And yeah, he just
Oh.
sounds so nervous on the phone.
It's like a
Yeah.
heartbreaking character to me.
Well, I mean, when you look at what Hoffman has this year, because he also has another film
And lead, yeah.
in lead, the range is
Mhm, yeah.
Well, he is also one of the great actors we've ever had.
yes,
Yeah.
You
which
know,
is why I could totally go for the
double
dual
nom,
film
double nom.
for him here. It's it's a slightly unfair advantage because he has both of them to put up against each other, but I still think that it is my favorite performance in Ripley.
Mhm.
Yeah. I'm now that I'm thinking about it, I'm about to rip my sleeves off, pop open a Bud Light, and vote for the supporting actors in The Matrix and Fight Club, Lawrence Fishburne and Brad Pitt.
Yeah,
Which
I was very much going to be on the Brad Pitt train
Yeah.
for this one. Yeah.
Pitt is kind of incredible.
I think those are my two.
But I mean,
I'm
I
ready
want
to bro down with the fellas.
This is not how I saw this going.
I am very in the camp for
My
Lawrence
Jadar
Fishburne.
is usually pretty good, but
Philip Seymour Hoffman, possibly my favorite actor of all time, but these
Yeah.
particular performances, it's a
There's something
tough
about
one.
Pitt in the 90s. when he was
Pitt in
doing
Fight
it.
Club is one of the great movie
Yeah.
star performances in history, I think.
Yeah. It's
The way
pretty
I felt
great.
about him is the same way that I felt about Jude Law in Talented Mr. Ripley for obvious reasons.
It is like peak Brad Pitt
Yeah.
body in that movie.
Yeah.
yeah.
So
I
What,
don't know where we stand right
yeah.
now.
I-
I feel
yeah.
like we're at a bit of an
Well,
impasse.
I
I
mean,
think we're at a bit of an impasse.
It kind of feels like it's between Hoffman, Pitt, and Fishburne. It's like we're trying to figure out
But we
the
have
two spots between them.
but is Alan Rickman a contender here? Because if you guys both will go for it, I will go for that. Because it would be so cool and deserved.
The only problem is that it just feels like not everybody has the same either passion or honestly memory of Rickman in that movie.
Again, I
They
haven't.
don't have to. We only need 3.
Yeah.
3 votes. Yeah, it's true. And one of your votes just went to go get a glass of water during the middle of a show.
Oh no, he was like
but,
real broing out on us. So
yeah,
I don't know.
he's
feel
going
like
to get the
I feel like
sunglasses.
the Pitt thing. I'm scared now. I support it, but for different reasons.
Erik, what do you think of Fishburne? You haven't really said anything about Fishburne in The Matrix.
I love Fishburne.
Okay.
I love The Matrix.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I do
Brief
really like him
statements.
as well. I do really like him as well. I do think that Morpheus is a very well-written character, and I think that Fishburne carries that dialogue really well. I think the dialogue is doing a lot of the heavy lifting personally, but I think that he's great. I do love him in the movie, but it's like, once again, I would have preferred the screenplay to get in because I think the screenplay kind of covers a lot of what I do like about that movie. But if forced between those two, I do feel a little bit more passion for Pitt.
Passion Pit.
Actually,
Yeah.
Love it.
Jay?
Yeah, I
Were
mean,
you-
I'm going.
were you- Jay, were
I
you?
feel-
Well, I mean, Erik was kind of bringing back while you were away.
No, I heard everything.
Okay. Was talking about the Rickman of it all, and the Galaxy Quest of it all too, and how interesting of a nomination that might be. But
It would be an incredible nomination. He's amazing in the film. It's a little bit of a Sisyphusian task getting him up the hill against some of these other performances that we're talking about. But
Was that your
Alan-
word of the
Yes,
day?
but
Was that your word
it's-
of the day, Jay?
It might be
I
the only,
actually use that term way too often.
It's a good one.
I feel like you probably use sissy a lot. I feel like that.
Yeah,
maybe.
that's kind of my thing.
do.
Yeah, while I'm watching Fight Club and The Matrix, there's
Yeah.
two wolves. There's 2 wolves inside me.
I'm sure there is.
Sophia, where do you land on all this?
Well, it's when throwing Pitt into the mix, I would vote for him. And I propose the Philip Seymour Hoffman double. But I also understand if we did want to go with Fishburne and Pitt, I would be okay with that because if Philip Seymour Hoffman's in for 2 movies, I get that that's not as fair.
Yeah.
It gives him, we can
And
just
I'm
do
gonna
the
be
one
honest,
and one.
Like even the Nicole Kidman thing, I sort of felt like that was a very special case with those
Yeah.
particular movies and her. And as much as I do think Hoffman is great in both of those films, I don't know if I want to like break the rules necessarily for both of those performances.
That's fair.
Yeah, because we could do that in the very next category.
Yes.
With
Right.
one
He's
person.
also a lot further down the ladder of both of those movies than Fishburne and
Mhm.
Pitt.
I'm okay with Fishburne and Pitt. I feel like that's.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Galaxy
those are my
Quest in
votes.
a very long time, so
Yeah.
I can't.
It's one I was not able to fit in, and I'm kind of mad that I didn't get to it because I feel like I would love that movie.
Oh, I think so.
reevaluation.
I mean, do you
Yeah.
like Star Trek at all?
I mean, like,
I mean, you
but
don't
I
have
li-
to like Star
but
Trek.
I like,
it helps.
I like a good comedy, and and I remember it well. Like I didn't hate the movie when I was a kid, but I just like I know a lot of people really love that movie.
Yeah, I mean, you
You know
don't
what I
have to like have a knowledge of Star Trek. It works as just a send
feel
up
like
of old sci-fi
Yeah.
TV shows.
I feel like it would also play really well with now like Comic-Con and
Yeah.
sort of convention culture being big as well too. Josh, I feel that would be one that would age well. So it looks like though the group's consensus is a Brad Pitt,
Yeah.
Lawrence Fishburne.
Well, we got 3 out of 5 at least. I know we got another Brad with
I would-
Josh.
I
Erik,
would-
are you going Brad as well?
I can acquiesce.
Well, that's all we need. Boom. Done.
Yeah.
There we go. All right.
No.
But
but
I will expect to work together later.
Erik is very transactional during this game. I'm seeing.
Yeah.
All right. So our nominees are Tom Cruise, Jude Law, Haley Joel Osment, Brad Pitt, and Lawrence Fishburne. I'm going to start. I'm going to right a wrong that should have been done in 1999. I'm going to give this to Tom Cruise for Magnolia because he should have an Oscar, and he should have it for this film. He should have it for this entire year, to be fair. It's one of those where you sit back and you go, this was their time. It doesn't make any sense why he doesn't do it. It's a fantastic performance. It's one of his top 3 performances for me. It was when he was able to give himself over to a director and encompass himself in this performance. I think of one of the biggest moments in Magnolia for me that I always remember is that scene with him and Robarts. It's iconic. Tom Cruise is my winner here.
Okay.
Anybody? Okay. All right, cool. Tom Cruise is the winner, and we just no, Sophia, you're winner here.
I'm also going Cruise. I don't really have, I think, much to add there. I feel like you really covered it. But I would say my second would be Haley Joel Osment. I would put him in. He would be my runner-up.
He's really good.
Yeah. Yes.
His second best performance after AI.
Oh, I thought you were saying. Oh,
I thought you were going to set up for a joke, honestly.
I thought that's why I
Me
kind of laughed,
too.
but I was
Me
like, oh
too.
wait, he was
Yeah.
being serious.
I was expecting you to say like Secondhand
God.
Lions or something.
You've got to be
Yeah.
so funny for people to be
Secondhand Lions.
pre-laughing when you're starting to say something. That's incredible. Wow.
But yeah, I'm going Cruise.
He just patted himself on the back. Jay, who would you pick?
So this is really tough because these are the 2 characters that I try to kind of live my life off of, which are Frank T.J. Mackey and Tyler Durden. But
How's your wife feel about that?
it's going great, man. Like we
Yeah.
never see each other. We live on opposite sides of the house. It's really wonderful. But I think I'm not going to overcomplicate it, and I'm going to go Cruise.
Okay. Josh?
Well, I know that Tom Cruise has it, but my vote would actually be for Haley Joel Osment. I think that performance is the key, really, to that movie working so well. And I don't find it to be like one of the gimmicky child performances. I feel like he actually is such a grounded, soulful part of that movie that I'm so invested in. And that works for me a little bit more than what Tom Cruise is doing, who I don't deny that there's a lot of great work there, but he does have some of those moments where I understand it's part of the character, but Tom Cruise kind of going overboard it can be very hit or miss for me. And it, to me, works in something like Jerry Maguire, a little bit less successful at times in Magnolia. But yeah, so that's why he wouldn't get my vote, and I would vote for Haley. But, you know, I understand where the group is going, but my vote would still be for Osment for Sixth Sense.
Ryan, can you do a line read of Tom Cruise's opening line for me?
No.
Okay.
Thought about it for a minute, and you had to remember what the line was.
I was remembering the line. I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
Erik, your vote, please.
I am not going to force a tiebreaker for you, Ryan.
There is no tiebreaker. I voted for
potentially, yeah. Oh no, that's right.
No, we have three for
yeah.
we have three
Right.
for
The
TC.
first one, Haley Joel Osment. All right, I'm going for Cruise, but that's in the face of the fact that he is an absolute lunatic of a human being, and a horrible person. But purely,
well, we added somebody else in this lineup that's not
exactly
great either, so.
Purely.
Does he live with Christopher McQuarrie? Are they like roommates?
Purely on.
I wonder what the Scientology people would think about that.
Merit here, and that also he hasn't been nominated for acting for 25 years. This was his last. It will probably be his last. He clearly wanted this too, in a way that was almost just torturous. But there's just something so fascinating about him portraying the leader of essentially a cult while being in the biggest cult that there is.
You mean the Eras tour?
That's it. As well as,
I mean, who are you more afraid of, the Swifties or the Scientologists? That's the real question.
Aren't they one and the same?
Swifties aren't
Wrestle
quite as
inside me.
litigious.
That would be it.
As litigious? Yeah, Jay's right.
All right, yeah. So Cruise.
Yeah, Tom Cruise.
Congratulations, Tom.
He's jumping up on the stage like a couch as we speak. Okay. All right, let's go over to supporting actress. Angelina Jolie was our winner for Girl Interrupted. Toni Collette for The Sixth Sense. Catherine Keener for John Malkovich. Sweet and Lowdown was Samantha Morton, and Chloe Sevigny for Boys Don't Cry. Who are we eliminating here?
I mean, the first one I would say is Samantha Morton, who I do normally love. I have very much enjoyed her. She's one of my favorites, but that performance, I watched that movie for the first time last week, and I mean, it's far from the worst Woody Allen movie I've seen, but it is very unremarkable, and I don't really feel like she does that much interesting in the movie to warrant a nomination.
I could get rid of 4 people.
Wow. Well, we have to get rid of 2.
I would get rid of
Everybody
Jolie,
but Keener,
Morton.
Oh, you'd get rid of
Stephanie.
Keener. You'd
Yes.
keep Collette. Okay.
I would keep Collette.
Honestly, Eric's not wrong.
So I'm just.
I like Keener a lot.
I have a lot of
do too.
room. I like Keener a lot. She is diabolical. And it was so funny because I had forgotten a lot of specifics of the screenplay, and then on the rewatch, that it just throws out F slur, C word, R word, just like it's nothing.
It is 1999, yeah.
And it's funny as hell. I'm not even saying it on the podcast because we're in 2024 instead of 1999, which kind of sucks. But
he's been wanting to say. He's been saying it off camera.
In a perfect world.
I mean, I can say fag. I can say fag, and actually, I can say cunt. So I'm gonna say cunt too. But I'm not gonna say the other one.
All
right, I got to go, guys.
All right.
Jay, you can't say any of them. So
Yeah,
I cannot. I'm wearing a baseball jersey.
Although you do have a little bit of a Daily Wire look to you at all times. So.
Oh my god!
My god!
That is the meanest thing anyone has ever.
That's not
said
true. Robert Daniels with the puka shell.
No, this was so much worse.
Daily Wire's worse than Puka Shells.
Oh my god!
It is.
I don't know. They're
I'm
getting picked apart now.
Tailspin.
Yeah.
That was a read.
That was
My
a
god.
read. Damn,
I'm sorry,
Josh.
Jay. I apologize.
Anyway, Sophia, who would you eliminate here?
I was just gonna keep Toni Collette and Catherine Keener.
We're gonna eliminate.
I have like 10 actresses.
I have a lot.
But we have to keep.
I
three.
know.
That's the rules.
Ugh.
Sorry.
Oh, we have to keep
We have to keep three. So who are your two least favorites is the question.
For me, it would be Morton and Sauvignon. I would get.
I haven't seen either of those movies. So
I'm not a fan of Jolie's.
Uneducated votes as well. So
I'm
it's
really not a fan of Angelina Jolie in this.
But I don't
think that is a particularly good performance, but I haven't seen the other two.
I mean, I don't know. Do we want to get rid of Angelina Jolie then? If there's that much passion behind it, or do we?
I mean, honestly,
like Sevigny is a little bit more expendable.
I don't like Boys Don't Cry though.
I love Boys Don't Cry.
At this point, I'm just going to disagree with whatever Josh says. So
I think I would cut.
That's fair.
I would consider Jolie and switch out for Sauvignon though, and keep her.
I would.
Yeah, I
would cut Morton and Keener, maybe.
Interesting.
Oh wait, if we can only do two, no, I will do Morton and Jolie.
Yeah, that's where I'm leaning, Eric.
I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with that.
Josh, you all right with that?
Yeah, I'm okay with it. I'm just gonna make a note that I just find to be really interesting so far is that we have gotten rid of, if this is what we're gonna do, that is every winner so far we have kicked out of the category.
That's why this year is such a diabolical year, because it's the greatest year of the decade and the winners don't reflect that.
And can I tell you something? I think that trend is going to continue.
Oh, it's gonna.
Maybe we'll see.
We'll see.
For some,
so we're going to keep.
Yeah. There's two that I'm maybe not, but
yeah.
So we're getting rid of Jolie and Morton. Yes.
Yeah.
Catherine.
Oh my God.
So I'm writing notes as we go, so I keep track of all this. Okay, so let's throw out some
Nicole Kidman, Eyes Wide Shut.
Okay.
Yeah.
There we go. And a spot was lost.
Please and thank
we're
you.
Down to picking one.
Allison Janney in Drop Dead Gorgeous.
Kirstie Alley in Drop Dead Gorgeous.
Helena Bonham Carter in Fight Club.
I was gonna say Cameron Diaz and being John Malkovich.
Yep.
Good.
Can we just swap Keener out and just pretend?
I like both of them though.
I do too.
I like Keener.
I like Diaz
more,
more, but I do really like.
They should have
Keener
both
as well.
gotten in.
Yeah.
Remember that sexually charged scene between Catherine Keener's character and Mrs. Incredible and Incredibles 2? Wow. You can hear about it on my video later this week on the Daily Wire.
Leslie Manville in Topsy Turvy.
Wonderful.
Carrie Ann Moss in The Matrix.
She has that scene at the end of Topsy Turvy that is just so heartbreaking.
Yeah.
I know I'm just the only person stumping for this, but Jessica Lange in Titus.
Oh, I would agree with that.
Julian,
that is her first Shakespeare that she ever did, and absolutely fucking destroyed it.
I would like to throw this out, not necessarily because I want to nominate it, but just to get feelers out on what people think about the performance. Sissy Spacek in The Straight Story? Where are we at on
she
that
would get
one?
my vote. She might get a vote in.
Beautiful. Did anybody mention?
Mention that's on the board?
But I know that this is another one where Jay measures with guests in the past. But Julianne Moore in Magnolia.
I was surprised it took this long for somebody to.
I was going to give it to Eric.
I still.
That's what I was mentioning earlier, because she has this Cookies Fortune map of the world, ideal husband.
But this performance is incredible.
You know, when actually, although now that I have I have such a companionship with that character now, because when she was called Lady in the pharmacy was how I felt when Josh said that I look like somebody from the Daily Wire.
Man,
so
I really
I'm kind of reconsidering how empathetic that performance is in many ways. So
I love this. We can just pluck that nerve like a little string.
Oh, I'm broken.
Good to know.
I have 2 more names. No, actually, I have 4 more names.
Okay.
Just to throw.
Just
I told you I had like a.
I know.
Like Melora Walters and
yeah,
Magnolia.
I was going to throw her out there too. She would be my supporting actress from Magnolia.
She is incredible. I love Julianne Moore, and that pharmacy speech needs to be a drag race lip sync.
It's in the Hall of Fame.
And it is. And when you're talking about over the top and ridiculous, there is nothing more over the top and ridiculous than her in that moment. She's perfect. I would also put forth Antonia San Juan for All About My Mother. Kate Blanchett for Talented Mr. Ripley,
Mm-hmm.
and Joan Cusack for Toy Story 2.
I didn't know if we were going to put animated performance
that's
up for
fine.
this.
I didn't know.
Totally-
You don't have a
totally
rule that we
Absolutely
can't.
count. Yeah.
But if we're
Totally
going to do
valid.
it, then yes, Joan Cusack for Toy Story 2, please, and with a bullet.
The
Wow.
other day I
Cusack.
was watching that, and my sister came in the room and was like, "I can't watch that. She's so annoying."
That
About Jessie specifically.
Oh, wow.
Just had to share.
Isabel's
very
not invited
funny.
on a show ever.
My goodness.
Um,
So sorry to hear that you are an only child now.
yeah.
It's actually
cue,
the other
cue
side of
the
a person.
When
That's
Somebody
our
Loved
Tyler
Me song
Durden.
right there. God,
That's a lot. We have a
that's
lot here.
That's a
We
lot
have
to
a
pick
lot.
from.
See, I told you I could have gotten rid of everyone but Toni Collette. And
I know.
been
Well, I know.
super
I
happy.
know that, but that's not the game.
All right, so Erik threw out the most. So Erik, give us your 2.
Yeah, you have to pick just 2.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, fuck. My 2 would be Jessica Lange and Titus.
All right, so we can disregard that one. Who are your next 2?
I know. That's what I'm saying. I know I'm the only one, so I'm just gonna say it until I'm.
It's
She
okay.
is incredible in that role, and that is
Okay,
a
so that's fine.
gnarly,
I can,
wicked role.
yes, I can absolutely give that up. There's too much. There's too much. I would honestly go for Melora Walters over Julianne Moore, and I swear to God, people are gonna hate that.
I agree with that 1,000%.
I don't like that. But I get it.
I just the through line of her
Yeah.
character and performance and getting the last shot just sort of
she does get the last shot.
it just hits like exactly right.
There's that scene with her and Philip Baker Hall, and he's just trying to talk to her, and she's just like yelling at him, and I'm like, that's the overacting. I think people
As
get
opposed to
Julianne
the
Moore.
subtle.
No, I'm saying
nuance
is
of
that
the pharmacy
it's-
scene.
Well, yeah. Well, yes.
Yeah.
No,
It's
no,
very
no.
understated.
No, I think that. Well, I don't think either one of those performances.
I know, I don't either, but
But I'm more on the Julianne
Very-
Moore wavelength than hers, if that makes sense.
yeah, I'm a big fan of Julianne Moore, and she can go big
Yes.
regularly.
So, Erik, you have Walters, and who else?
Mm, this is crazy because obviously, yes, I love Allison Janney in Drop Dead Gorgeous, but I want Kirstie Alley. I want comedy in here. I want
Okay.
gold.
I still feel like we might be the only 2 on the Drop Dead Gorgeous.
It's
Train.
all right. Which that's why when once things coalesce around just a few people, then I can throw my votes that way.
So, Sophia.
I think I'm gonna go Nicole Kidman, Eyes Wide Shut, and was between 2 for my last. I'm gonna go Manville, Topsy Turvy.
Okay. Josh.
God, there is no consensus. I'm sorry.
No.
Yeah, there's not. Let's just do it.
Because I was gonna say Cameron Diaz and Julianne Moore.
Okay. J-Dog.
I'm going Kidman. I will fight for that one to the death. And then I'm going to go Helena Bonham Carter.
Okay.
I think that's an iconic performance.
So I was going to put Kidman in lead in this conversation. I was, but I will 100% give her one of my slots here.
Okay.
Do you guys think she's elite?
I think it's hard to justify her as a lead. but-
I think she's got that great stuff in the first part, but
I don't think it's difficult.
Okay.
Well, in many ways, isn't that what society says about wives too?
Oh my God.
For God's sakes. I mean, I would Joan Cusack was thrown out there, and so I would totally go Joan Cusack for Toy Story 2. I think that if anything from that movie outside that song gets nominated, it should be that her performance for that character, because that's what makes the movie special from the original in the first place. And she's great. She's absolutely great. in that. And so yes, I would nominate her. And oh man. I mean, yes, I do love Julianne Moore, but I kind of think that Kidman is an undeniable pick.
I'm fine
If
with
we're gonna
that,
put
yeah.
her in
So
supporting,
we have one.
yeah. So
All
I
right,
think
Kidman.
Kidman
is in.
Kidman is in.
yes. So I think Kidman's in, and I think that that's honestly a really
Good.
Mhm.
So
Oh, now we really.
So who were the other people that people threw out? I threw out Helena Bonham Carter.
I
which
threw
don't
out
I said
think is
Cameron
good,
Diaz.
which is
You said
fine.
Cameron Diaz.
I said Leslie Manville.
You said Leslie Manville. I like that performance. I like the Cameron Diaz performance. I like the Helena Bonham Carter performance. I think she's great in that film.
Yeah, she is great.
You know, Cusack is who I threw out. Erik threw out Kirstie Alley for Drop Dead Gorgeous.
Yep.
And who else?
All right, we are at square freaking one.
Did I said Melora Walters because
Melora Walters.
nobody was going to pick Jessica Lange.
I will say this. I want Magnolia represented here in this. And so I would
put Julianne Moore.
I'm cool that it's Julianne then.
Let's do Julianne.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys want to do Julianne? Oh, I was
Yeah.
gonna
I was
gonna
with that.
concede
That's
over
fine.
to Walters.
Julianne Moore and Nicole Kidman nominated together again. Yes, please, and thank you.
Okay. Well, I was gonna concede over to the other side and let you have Walters there. Okay.
Well, here's the thing: is that I feel like we all have different number ones, but Julianne Moore kind of feels like most people's number 2 or 3. So we're kind of doing the preferential ballot game.
Okay.
Yeah.
It feels like that's the one to make everybody happy.
That's fair.
She's the bigger name. Politics as usual.
Toni Collette, Catherine Keener, Chloe Sevigny, Nicole Kidman, and Julianne Moore. Those are our nominees.
Boy, we have 4 categories.
Jay.
Yeah.
Who would you give this award to?
I think I would go with Nicole Kidman by a landslide, actually.
All right. Josh?
I would vote for Toni Collette. And I know it's mostly just for one scene, but god damn it, that scene in the car.
It's a good
is,
scene.
like, the most devastating thing I've seen in quite some time. And I think that she's great in the whole movie, but that one scene in particular is just so fantastic. And I love her in that film.
Erik?
Nobody brought up M. Night Shyamalan in supporting actor.
Wow.
Wasted opportunity. Sorry. Can't go back.
Oh my God. I am also going for Colette. Yeah, because she deserves to have a fake Oscar
Wow.
since she doesn't have any.
She's coming on the show next week.
Yeah, big news. Just gonna talk about that comment specifically. I'm gonna go with Toni Collette. Yeah. I think she's incredible in that performance.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Getting an award.
Kidman falls.
Yeah. I know
Down
that's
goes
where
Kidman.
Sophia was probably gonna go with Kidman, right?
No,
No?
I was gonna go Colette. She was
Oh,
always
right.
gonna be my winner,
Wow.
no matter who we put in.
Okay. So Collette and
Many people are saying in sort of a time machine history here, the reason that they got divorced really was they went back in time, did these awards. Tom Cruise won, Nicole Kidman lost. She was bitter. That's why they're actually divorced.
yeah, because that's
Sort of a
what-
Terminator situation.
That's the truth, right? No, I think that performance is phenomenal, and it's really what makes, I think, The Sixth Sense so great. Beyond just like the twists and turns, is that emotional story between a mother and child, and she's incredible. That car scene, yes, I know it's very Oscar bait, sort of the scene, but like that scene is incredible, and
Well, and
Like, I still cry at it when I watch it today.
yeah.
It's
She-
so
I know
beautiful.
everybody on the internet goes crazy over the Hereditary speech at the table and all that stuff, but like to
Well,
me, like
And also should be a Drag Race lip sync.
yes,
Mary
for
Tyler Moore
sure.
did it first.
Yes, exactly. But I'm always just like, no, she's been doing this for forever, and it's that scene is a showcase why she's such a fantastic actress, and
Yeah. She's perfect.
yeah.
Those nails,
Congratulations to Toni
the
Collette.
hair, the sweater. Perfect.
Best actor. Kevin Spacey was our winner for American Beauty. Yeah, Russell Crowe for The Insider, Richard Farnsworth for The Straight Story, Sean Penn for The Sweet and Lowdown, and Denzel Washington for The Hurricane. Who are we eliminating, guys? Well, I mean, obviously Sean Penn.
Yeah, obviously Sean
right?
Penn.
And Kevin Spacey.
Okay. I wouldn't, but
Kevin Spacey is
either.
really good in American Beauty.
Yeah.
Not one of my favorite Denzel performances.
I would get rid of Denzel
It
Washington.
was my other one to cut.
This was it easy for me.
I love Farnsworth in The Straight Story. I really love
Yeah, I'm not. You're not gonna get.
You're not going to get me
rid
to
of,
get rid of Farnsworth or Crow.
Nope.
I mean, I love Denzel. Denzel.
The optics
I love
of getting
Denzel
rid of
Washington.
Spacey are real clean. So
Yeah,
you know,
I mean, I love Denzel Washington. I think he's very good in that film. I would get rid of Kevin Spacey. Josh?
I don't like being in the position of whether or not to pick between the very problematic winner or the only black nominee. I really don't like this.
Ryan planned this just.
I
so
feel
you know,
I feel
like,
good
from
about
the
what I
beginning.
just said. I don't know about you.
It was in the group chat. Sorry.
who's the Daily Wire host now? Ladies and gentlemen?
Get rid of Denzel.
Oh, all right.
I'm sorry. Like, I understand that we all
Very
think
BAFTA of you guys.
that. Okay.
I'm just kidding.
All right.
No, just get rid of Denzel Washington.
But look, like, I think Kevin Spacey is still so good in American Beauty. I think that performance, like, you can attack the writing for sure. There are some problematic elements there, but I find him to still be such a captivating presence on screen. And I mean, we are just judging the performances here.
Yeah.
And I got to be honest that I think that Spacey is still pretty excellent in that film.
Yeah.
No, I think Spacey is good in the film. Don't get me wrong. I just think Denzel's a little bit better. And that's also just maybe my bias because I love Denzel Washington and I've been watching way too many Denzel Washington movies this year.
We have been watching a lot of Denzel. It's been fun.
Yeah, it's been really fun. So it's hard for me not to never want to give Denzel Washington enough flowers, considering the fact that I think he's maybe the greatest actor living currently on the planet.
I think if you consider this sort of a document to the history of cinema, Spacey's performance should be in over the 18th best Denzel Washington performance.
But the 18th best Denzel Washington performance is better than
No, I agree.
majority of
But that's kind of what it
careers.
is. And I love Denzel. I think this is a good performance, but it is
Very
kind of a forgotten Denzel movie in a lot of ways.
So
And-
It's fine.
Yeah, it's a fine movie.
All right.
All right. Thank
Russell
God.
Crowe,
Denzel finally out of here.
Farnsworth and Spacey.
Based on
The
performance,
way we are embracing the bro and problematic nature of this year instead of
We're gonna
rebuffing it.
I'm telling you that.
I did not see this.
I don't know. I don't think we've been doing that entirely. What we've been doing is replacing American Beauty with Fight Club and
The Matrix and
The
Speaking
Matrix. Yeah.
um
So we've been bro adjacent. Right?
Okay.
We're replacing one bro for another.
A little pro bro, I think.
We're pro
pro.
bro. Again, I'm in a baseball jersey.
okay, so I have two I'd like to throw out. Obviously I would like to throw out Tom Cruise for Eyes Wide Shut. But I would also like to throw out Al Pacino for The Insider.
I was going to do that too.
I think
I
he
actually
is
like
just
I go
as
back
good
and forth.
as Crow.
I go back and forth, honestly, in terms of who I prefer, because there's some scenes that I think Russell Crowe is absolutely excellent in, but then there's other parts where I'm like, damn, Al Pacino. It's like, I miss this version of you. Like, please come back.
Well, it is. This is that inflection point where it's like every other scene he'll go massive, and then there's still that 70s Pacino still in there somewhere.
But even the big
Yeah.
scenes, I think he works a lot
Agreed.
better than it does in other movies.
It's like
No, I mean
Yeah.
like the first half of that movie is Crow. And then the second half where where Pacino has to fight to get the story on the air and through fighting CBS and fighting Philip Baker Hall and Gina Gershon and Christopher Plummer and everything. It becomes his movie. And he's absolutely phenomenal in the film. And so I would nominate Pacino in heartbeat, considering the fact that Crow got in there.
Yeah, I would very much go for Pacino.
And I also, I know I'm saying a third one and it's probably stepping on people's toes, but obviously I do think Matt Damon is phenomenal and talented, Mr. Ripley, and deserves to be considered. I know that all the other supporting actors and everything, everybody talks about them, but I think Damon's pretty fantastic in that film too. He's the titular role, and he doesn't get enough talked about. It feels like at times
It's his best performance.
Yeah. I would throw out
Duck on you.
Denis Lavant for Beau Travail.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah, it's a great
yeah.
performance.
Actually, is Beau Travail 1999?
Yeah,
This was the conversation we were having.
Yes, it is.
yesterday.
Its U.S. release is 99.
Okay.
Theatrical release.
It was Venice
Okay.
99. I saw that it came out in France in 2000.
Who cares?
But if we're considering it,
Are we considering it 99?
if it's
Yes.
99 for us, then it's 99.
Okay.
So,
All
Yeah,
right.
I'm fine with that.
let's go with that.
Well, then I'm
If-
going to throw his name out there.
If that is the case, then he would be my second option.
All right. It's a good pick. I think he's in my 2 as well. My number 1 next up is Terrence Stamp,
Yep, for the line.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The Limey. Incredible performance. Anybody got any thoughts on his performance in The Limey?
I think
He was on my list.
He's
Oh,
very
yeah.
good. I haven't seen The Limey since college, so it's been a minute, but I remember him being very good.
It's pretty perfect.
It's good.
Jim Broadbent.
Yeah, Broadbent's incredible, especially in like the last 35 minutes of that movie too. He
Yeah.
just takes center stage when they're developing the Mikado, and yeah, he's.
I'd like to bring something to the table that I think we need to address. Mike Myers, Austin Powers, Spider Shagney. All right, who's doing more? Who's
He
doing
is
more than
playing
Mike
3
Myers in
characters.
1999?
I did actually have that in the screenplay. list.
Dr. Evil, and he is playing who else? Jay?
Hello, the introduction of Fat Bastard.
I
Yeah,
was
Fat
gonna say,
Bastard.
there you go.
Get
Which is
in my
basically-
belly.
And also, like, basically where we first heard Shrek.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I married an
He
axe
did that
murderer.
in So I Married an Axe Murderer. Yeah,
Yeah, a
the
little
dad
bit.
is like, oh, find
He's
a
very
wife, you
Scottish.
loser.
Yeah.
Why don't you find a wife?
An orange on a toothpick. Ugh. I
You're
love
a disappointment to me as a son.
that.
If we are going to bring up Fight Club and everything, Edward Norton in Fight Club as well.
He's very good
Mhm.
too.
yeah.
Good.
Um,
The
good
things
guy.
that we haven't mentioned, I'll still keep going on the Titus train and say Anthony Hopkins. But everyone else has been named so far that's on my list outside of Matthew Broderick in Election
I have one more.
I'll give a
Mhm.
shout out to
Oh.
John Cusack in Malkovich.
and Philip Seymour Hoffman in Flawless.
I would like to also throw out Forrest Whitaker in Ghost Dog: The Way of the Samurai. I think
Oh
it's
God, I completely forgot to put that like on my list, which I
He's
shouldn't have
fantastic.
since
He's
we just
fantastic.
talked about it recently.
Yeah. He's fantastic there. Just
Yes,
more
he
of
is.
more of an honorable mention for me, but
So good.
So I feel that we had a consensus on one. Yes.
Mm.
Who?
My one
Did
and
we?
2 are Levant and Stamp.
Okay, Levant and Stamp.
Those are my 2 as well.
Oh.
Yeah.
Josh? Levant
I would
and
say
who?
Levant and Pacino.
Me too. I would say Levant and
Ooh,
Pacino. I'll go that way. So Levant's in.
Could I
Sophia?
swap Pacino for Crow?
No.
Sophia, didn't you have Stamp?
I did, but I like Pacino more than Crow.
It's not the exercise.
Yeah.
You got to have the discipline. Michael Mann lets you know it's all about the discipline.
It is all
Other-
It
that's-
is.
it's all about the
Yeah.
process.
That heat's coming around the corner.
Yeah. Ooh. Ah.
Okay, I am gonna go Pacino and Levant. I'll swerve a little here.
Oh, no Stamp.
I just
Sophia going UPS, not using stamps.
I did run out of stamps. I need to buy more.
Crow, Farnsworth,
So did
Spacey,
this nomination process.
Levant, and Pacino. Those are our 5. Okay, Josh.
Okay. That's a good lineup. I love
Yeah.
Pacino in The
That's
Insider.
fine. That's all right. I'll allow it.
Josh.
Pacino's good.
M-
Pacino's
My winner
good.
is clear.
Pacino's, yeah. Okay. Josh.
Oh, Pick somebody else, actually. I still need to think.
Sophia, you said your pick is clear.
Yeah, I'm going Levant and Beau Travail.
Okay. Could anyone want to?
I'm going Richard Farnsworth. Richard Farnsworth is my vote. I think that performance is incredible, and you really feel everything that's going on in that guy's personal life in that performance. It's a heartbreaking, heart-wrenching, but so full of love and passion. It's an incredible performance.
Erik?
Mine is between two, but I'm gonna wait and see how things roll.
This is tough.
I would like to rescind my vote and wait as well.
Nope. Nope.
Well, Levant and Farnsworth are my top two. So
it is.
If we have the open conversation,
it is between those two. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd like to see where things go.
I love that. I love that Crowe and Pacino are in here. They don't necessarily have to be my wins, even though I love The Insider so much. So I'm okay with them not getting my vote. I'm not obviously voting for Kevin Spacey. So yes, it's Farnsworth and Levant.
Wouldn't that be the gag?
That would be the gag, wouldn't it? I'm gonna go Levant. I recently watched Beau Travail yesterday. I think he's incredible in that film.
If I can just lobby for Farnsworth, Straight Story does not work without Farnsworth. Beau Travail can work. I love Levant, but Beau Travail, the star of Beau Travail is Claire Denis. The star of Straight Story is Richard Farnsworth. So that would be my 1 point. Levant is amazing. I said that dude is one of one. He's a legend. But
well, I mean, the star of A Straight Story also too is a guy by the name of David Lynch. Like,
no, it's not, because it's nothing like anything he's ever made before.
Yeah, and that's what's so great about it. It's him doing completely almost the opposite of everything he's done before.
No, Farnsworth. The man was dying riding a tractor.
Okay, now you just okay. All right.
Okay. Just keep that in mind, folks.
I'm going Levant still. So, Erik, Josh, you got decisions to make. J-Do did make a pretty elegant, almost terrifying campaign for Richard Farnsworth.
I mean, he did, but he's clearly taking my comment from earlier way too to heart. So I'm not inclined to really support him anymore. Okay, honestly, I'm gonna vote for Al Pacino.
Okay. If
Uncle
Josh
Chino
is doing this, then now the floodgates have opened up. All right. He does only have one Oscar, and it is a terrible Oscar. And if we were able to give Al Pacino an Oscar for The Insider, that would be pretty cool. Erik?
So we have two Levant, a Farnsworth, and a Pacino.
Yes, sir.
So I could make a tie.
You could make a tie, or you could shorten the show.
Or make a choice. Jay, that is a compelling argument. And yeah, it is, marrying role and actor in a way that is exactly right. I think Levant does exactly the same thing. It's so smart of Claire Denis.
Levant's incredible, to be clear. So,
well, yes. And I don't know if we get that final shot exactly like that.
True.
With anybody else?
Yeah, that's fair. Farnsworth probably could have done it, though.
I was just gonna say if we swap them and roll on that tractor, I kind of want to see what happens.
I want to see Farnsworth as Pacino in Insider.
But
I don't think Levant's ever been to Missouri. I'm
not
sure he would fit in there.
Me too.
Yeah.
I'd love to see
now
him
that's
in
the movie I
West.
want to watch more than anything tonight.
A whole nother game is
that is the David Lynch movie you would expect to see.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. Clear. Yes. I am going for Levant. This movie just means too much to me.
That's a good win. Farnsworth, though,
he was the one
I'm just glad Farnsworth wasn't here to hear it.
sake, Jay.
I had a joke, but I'm going to refrain.
Yeah, let's leave it alone there.
It's okay because Jay
that is
won't.
an offline joke to make.
All right. Good Lord. The show. All right. Best Actress. Hilary Swank, Boys Don't Cry. Annette Bening, American Beauty. Janet McTeer, Tumbleweeds. Julianne Moore, The End of the Affair. And unknown actress, Meryl Streep for Music of the Heart.
Just nothing but iconic films.
Yeah, we talk about these movies all the time.
We've got to cut Meryl.
Yeah.
But the music.
I haven't seen
that she doesn't even know
three
she has
of
his
these, and the
nomination,
Meryl
so.
movie is one of the two that I have seen. So
My favorite thing about Music of the Heart is that
Here we go.
Madonna dropped out to play this because of fighting with Wes Craven. So Meryl Streep replaced Madonna. And then obviously just a few years prior to that, Streep was going to play Ava Perón, and Madonna did.
It's really crazy how in Music of the Heart, Freddy Krueger comes in the third act.
Well, this is basically his
let me get an Oscar
straight story where it's like, this guy directed this.
Huh?
Beautiful Stranger should have been nominated.
Yeah. That's her better Bond song.
you think Madonna could have done Ricky in The Flash? That's the question.
I mean, that's mostly her wardrobe daily nowadays. So, I mean, I'm not being rude. I'm just stating facts.
I don't
remember Ricky and The Flash.
I don't trust people that use the word nowadays. Period.
Okay.
That's a red flag for me.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to let y'all guys, y'all sort through this one because I have no opinion.
Well,
is it
Streep,
because
I
it's
feel
about
like
women?
absolutely is going.
I think we should keep Hilary Swank and Annette Bening.
100%.
Got to keep the rivalry.
There's no way that would not happen.
So then we just need to keep one more.
I would petition for Moore over McTeer.
I'm always for that. I'm always for that. Honestly, I have not seen Tumbleweeds.
It's fine. It's good.
I have seen Tumbleweeds. I actually do really kind of love that movie, and I love Janet McTeer in it.
100%.
So between the two, that's the one that I actually have a little bit more passion for, because I do think that, and it's a very small scene movie. It's very small for sure, but I love her in it. It's like very grounded character study work that I just really respond to, and I think that she gives a fantastic performance.
What if we kept McTeer because we have Julianne in supporting?
Here we go.
Or do we want to just give Julianne both?
She's been double nominated before and she's deserved it. So I don't see any argument against her having both.
Come on, throw Janet a bone. Come on.
She'll be in later for Albert Nobbs. She's good.
Albert Nobbs.
If I were ranking them, though, I would pick Julianne Moore just slightly ahead.
To stay?
Yeah, to stay.
Okay.
To stay.
So that's one more.
I also like Ray Fiennes in that movie. Forgot to mention that.
She's staying.
Right.
Julianne's in.
More is in. The more, the better.
I guess. I don't know.
All right. We got two to replace. Let's do it.
Okay.
Reese Witherspoon, my number one.
Yeah. I feel like that's it. We all agree on that.
Yeah, I mean, I do.
Yeah,
I agree on that. That's
I love Cecilia Roth and All About My Mother.
She was my next one. But then Kirsten, Kiki. Kiki's right there for me. Gotta just shout out Rene Russo in the Thomas Crown Affair.
Oh God.
Absolutely wild movie.
And
we
then,
can't go down this path.
And then I'm going to stop talking.
Sarah Michelle Gellar for Cruel Intentions. Yeah. I have to mention, I love this performance. It's hilarious. And she invented so many, I think, high school, teen dramedies that were to come, TV and film. And her Coke Rosary.
I mean,
Coke Rosary.
I would, I'd be willing to hear arguments for that. I'd be willing to make an alliance for that nomination. I like the performance a lot.
I'm all for it.
Josh?
I don't think anyone else will, but
I mean, honestly, that is such a fun pick. I'm kind of leaning towards it as well.
Yeah. You guys want to do
let's
it?
do it. Let's do it. This is
What's happening?
Sarah Michelle Gellar just got it.
Wait a minute.
Wait, are you serious?
Yeah.
Erik, you got something to say?
Well, I was going to add a couple to. Okay. I already have Cecilia Roth, Reese Witherspoon, and Kirsten Dunst. I would also add Franca Potente, Run Lola Run, and Li Xiaolu for Shosho the Sent Down Girl.
Erik, do you have Kate Winslet for Holy Smoke?
I do not.
She's really going for something in that one.
End of sentence.
So to be clear, what we're about to do is put Sarah Michelle Gellar in over Cecilia Roth, Kirsten Dunst.
Yeah, see, I might have a problem, an issue.
I don't think you guys like fun.
As inspired as it is fun. It's fun.
It's fun. It's a good bit.
But yeah, unless you know my Venmo by heart, I don't know.
Sophia, look at me.
I can read it out
right now in the eyes
here,
through this camera and tell me that you think Sarah Michelle Gellar is better than Cecilia Roth.
She's not, but I like her more than Reese Witherspoon in Election.
That's not the game, though. That's not.
We we could do a switch.
No,
you cannot
go
for revenge in.
That's
we've already decided Witherspoon is in. It's about who's next.
What if I'm channeling the character?
We haven't locked it in.
Literally, both movies are about revenge. So yeah,
Sophia herself has cruel
about revenge.
It's fine. Like if we want like Reese Witherspoon and Cecilia Roth, that makes more sense. I understand that. I just wanted to go for
that little chaos. Sometimes
I love her.
You want a little chaos sometimes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Chaos is great.
I would
honestly, a lot of our nominees have been pretty straightforward.
Yeah, they've been like the straight story here today
because we haven't gone really far outside of the circle.
I mean, I would put Roth in and then Gellar and replace with.
No, I think Witherspoon is in. Are we backing on Witherspoon? Because Witherspoon was sort of a consensus.
I would not back down from
I'm with Witherspoon 100%. She's my next option. It's an iconic performance.
It is.
Yeah, I can't.
She is Tracy Flick in real life. So
yeah, I can't back down from Witherspoon either.
What have you been thinking about the Reese Witherspoon book club lately? I've been loving it.
Well, I mean, it's bad. But anyway, let's pick this.
That's some good yes-anding by Ryan there.
You're welcome.
Really knocked out.
I threw out the argument, and I think that's enough. Like she's just mentioned. I talked about how much I love the performance, but she can be number 6.
Cecilia Roth. Let's throw in some foreign language love, some foreign film love.
Yeah. What if Witherspoon is in, and then we decide between Gellar and Roth?
I think that's the exercise.
Pick Roth.
Yeah,
exactly. So when you're actually confronted with that as the question,
if I have to pick between the two of them, if we could replace all 5 of them, or if we could take out another, then maybe.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
Damn, we know how to overcomplicate a podcast, folks.
Yes, we do.
We sure do.
What people listen to us for.
I think Celia Roth is in, and I think that's okay.
That's great.
Yeah, it's great. It's a wonderful performance. Gellar would have been the type of chaos if we had 3 spots. Because clearly Julianne, yeah. Maybe Julianne Moore, maybe Annette Bening, maybe Hillary.
Renee Russo.
No, Renee Russo would not be.
Come on.
No. Okay. So we had to pick a winner now. Who wants to start?
I'll start.
Okay.
It's still Hilary Swank for me.
Okay. Why? I mean, I wasn't trying to sound accusatory. I wasn't trying to sound bad.
Very accusatory.
I wasn't.
No, that's fine.
No, my voice just went low.
Where were you on the morning of July?
Yeah, where were you when you gave Hilary Swank this Oscar?
That's what's kind of the weird thing about all of this is that because we've gone so heavily to our nominees and not the winners, we've had to have longer conversations and justifications about why they're in. So it just is a choice. So when I'm looking at that list, and even having Roth and Witherspoon in there makes me super, super happy. Roth is an gargantuan performance.
Yeah. It's the type of performance I think would be nominated today. Roth.
Well, it wasn't then, so maybe it would be, but maybe not. She would.
Well, I
still
mean,
have
more international voting
a bit
presence, and maybe
it sucks. It sucks that Meryl Streep even kind of exists in this world.
Well, that's just me.
Cut it off there. Make the edit. It sucks.
Yeah, I'm gonna send that to the Academy right there.
Because Roth should be here. Just 100%.
I mean, I love how you're like, oh, I'm sorry that Meryl Streep's here, and it's like, well, you could have said that about Janet McTeer, and that seems pretty.
No, even though she was like on my Get Out, she certainly is above Streep here.
Anyway, what do you love about Hilary Swank in this performance?
It is very much a time capsule of a performance, even though clearly we can have performances that are crossing gender lines still. I think what Swank does is just feels very shockingly real, and lived in. And she was not, a popular actress making this big, bold choice.
Yeah,
she was very unknown in a very, very small movie. And I think that just kind of gave her more freedom to not feel like she was putting on a show the way that a different actress might have been able to do it. So because you weren't really so focused on, oh, that is this actress doing this, you could really just kind of lose yourself in that. And
still
that's
kind of a discovery.
Yeah. And that's only half of the performance is where we are able to kind of lose ourselves in that without the baggage of something else.
Yeah.
But I never lost the grip of how interesting and complicated the life of Tina Brandon was with Swank. I don't know. There's just this weird visual thing about Swank because she does have some very masculine features. She looks like fucking Matt Damon in this. It's and that's
like Courage Under Fire.
Parentheses complimentary.
Yeah.
There is just a visual look and embodiment that just I can never really kind of get over how good she is.
Gotcha. Sophia?
After all of that talk,
I knew this was gonna happen.
I'm going with Roth.
Yeah.
I think that she is like when I think about
what a silly 5 minutes we just spent on that nonsense. Just
well,
absurd.
There was something happening.
Sophia throwing a fit over here, throwing a tantrum.
No, I feel like this
Jay attacking the woman. Okay, all right.
Really
During
the best actress conversation.
All right,
Mhm.
all right.
Yeah.
He doesn't have anything to say the entire time because he hasn't seen the movies. And then
I might
acting like an expert on a category that he's only seen like 2 movies from.
I think I'm done podcasting, like at large, like not just this episode, just in general. It's over.
With Cecilia Roth, though, Erik, what you talked about with Hilary Swank and there being like a truth to it, and I love that performance too. I actually think it's a really good win. I just rewatched it recently when I was following along with Kevin's pod. But I feel like there's just something so true and real to Roth and her performance here and being surrounded by these women and how she interacts with all of them. It's just this very like beautiful feminine experience. And it's what I love about the movie. I can trace it back to how she makes me feel in each of those scenes. So I'm going to go with her.
I love her. I love her voice. I love the raspiness of it. Just the life lived.
Yeah.
Feeling
so
in her voice.
Yeah.
Oh.
Hey, dog.
I'm going Reese Witherspoon. I think it's an iconic performance, one that survives kind of to this day. If you look at this collection of 5 people nominated, I think that's the one that has sustained the most, certainly. And I think it's the best thing she's ever done, because there is this sense of artifice that Reese Witherspoon possesses that she kind of refuses to acknowledge anymore. And I'm getting stared at as if I just uttered a slur. So will welcome any counter arguments to what I said. But this for me is the definitive Witherspoon performance, and one that is referenced in every single presidential election we will have until the end of time. So that's my pick.
Erik, what were you going to say?
Oh no, I was just thinking as a close friend of David O. Russell, it makes perfect sense that Jay would pick Reese Witherspoon. But also Freeway exists. So
I mean, it's good. I don't like it as much as it is.
And so does Man in the Moon. She's really perfect in that.
Okay.
Cool. Who's next?
Okay. Josh?
Well, this is interesting.
Oh, boy.
Because
Josh is going to
even though the movie has taken quite a beating from us.
I knew he was going to say this today.
I was actually going to vote for Annette Bening.
Wow, Josh. Okay.
I think that movie, as we have established, has many problems. But I do think that there is something to Benning's performance that does sort of understand when that material needs to be a little bit over the top. And I think it is completely justified within her performance. And she can do that without ever losing the real humanity that is underneath that. And I think she can be very funny at times. I mean, Fuck Me, Your Majesty. I think it's brilliant. But yeah, I think there's also a real tragedy that she is able to showcase in a way that for some other people in that movie, I think it is a little bit harder to do so. Even with Kevin Spacey, who I did stick up for his performance, I think that she does a better job at times even navigating it more so than him. So yeah, I know we're kind of all over the place. I think that just speaks to how great the category is too. But yeah, my vote is for Annette Bening.
Well, the thing that's great about Bening is that she is written so savagely, and it's an ugly character, and that's why Spacey's gets to sort of look so much better, because everything he's doing and saying, even though it's terrible, is this like catharsis of man, and she is just a harpy and an absolute just villain, and she rises above that pretty much at every possible turn.
Well, clearly I have to vote for Julianne Moore for The End of the Affair.
I was going to say,
we have a real 2020
that's the
going
only
on.
answer here.
Wow. This really is the ultimate decider on this. This
really,
is crazy.
yeah.
I'm glad we finally have had a category like this.
I will not be voting for Hilary Swank. Not a fan of the film.
To announce that.
Not a fan of the film.
Let's go through each one individually.
I think
that's why you wouldn't vote for the others, and not why you would vote for the one you're going to vote for.
I wouldn't vote for Hilary Swank. I think she gives a better performance in about 5 years.
Your anti-trans agenda is just on fire right now. Just say it. It's all right.
I mean, Pride Month is over, so
it really is.
Yeah.
I really like Witherspoon, and I really like Roth. I love their inclusions here. I think they're fantastic. In the Bening Swank debate, I would lean towards Annette Bening. I think she is the best thing about American Beauty, easily. And I agree with everything that Josh said. I'm in total agreement with, and everything that Sophia said about Roth is absolutely true. And that is the thing that Jay is talking about, though I will agree with him. It's like the most kind of remembered performance of Reese Witherspoon's career. It's the it's the question Jay always asks on Director Watch, right, Jay? What are they going to be remembered for when the headlines come up?
Well, that won't be Reese's. Reese's would be what? Like
it would probably be like this
Sweet
or
Home Alabama or
probably,
something. I don't
maybe.
know.
But like none of those exist without this.
Legally Blonde.
Or
Legally Blonde is
Legally
yeah,
Blonde.
that's right.
That's
yeah.
the one.
Starring Ryan's favorite director, Oz Perkins.
Oh, fuck
He
that
puts
guy.
on a show.
Anyway, no, I'm down to 2. I'm down to Roth and Benning.
Can you vamp a little bit more?
I'm trying not to.
I think we need a little time to kind of.
I mean, you know what? Maybe about 45 more minutes.
Okay.
Don't you have like a piece to go read for Daily Wire or something? I think I'm gonna go with Benning.
Okay.
It feels weird for her
Alright.
not to walk away with an Oscar in her career. She's been trying to chase it forever. This is her best nominated performance.
Mhm.
And she would have won the same night as Warren. What a photo that would have been.
Yeah.
And this is the best way to reward that film. In my
Sliding doors moment. She wins this. Do we even get Naiad?
We'll never know. Well, I mean, we do know,
well,
but
yeah.
we'll never know what that's like. But yeah.
And where
Roth
would
is-
we be if that didn't happen?
I mean,
Okay, I wasn't going to be that mean because we have somebody on this show that likes that movie, but okay.
Naiad's not a bad
No.
movie, but
Naiad
No.
is not good.
it's not good.
I think it's super mediocre. I don't
Josh,
think
do
it's
you like that
terrible.
movie?
It's
No, I
funny.
actually- I thought I heard you defending
Foster is
Naya
good.
and Sophia.
Oh,
No,
It's
Sophia.
I think it's hilarious.
Okay.
it's
I don't
actually
think it's like
unintentionally a comedy.
Yeah, I think it's a comedy. And I think Jodie
Okay.
Foster is very good in it.
Jodie Foster's
Yes.
legit really good in it.
Yeah, Foster.
And they gave me a water bottle.
I was drinking that the other night when we were doing the
Yeah.
show. I was like, yeah, and a towel that is terrible. It's a terrible towel.
Mm.
Like the Steelers.
Like the Steelers. Okay.
Who's broing out now?
Best director. Sam Mendes, Lisa Hallstrom, Spike Jonze, Michael Mann, M. Night Shyamalan. I mean, this is easy,
I
right?
mean,
Get Hallstrom the fuck out of here.
I say get
Yeah.
Mendes all the way out of town.
I
Yep.
agree.
Get
Yeah,
out of here
so
in
too.
the plastic bag you rode in on.
Yes. There's a trail to the door. It's all rose petals on the floor. All right.
Well, this is where it gets hard.
Is that
Mhm.
unanimous? I mean, are we good with that? Is
Yes, those are that's the
yeah.
easy ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay.
That's
all
the
right.
easy
This
part
is
of
quite
this.
easy.
There's a director by the name of Stanley Kubrick who never directed a film after this, so I think we should consider.
Okay. That's one that's on the consideration block.
Wachowskis, obviously.
The Wachowskis.
Claire Denis.
Yeah.
Claire
Hello.
Denis.
Claire Denis.
Claire Denis and Kubrick are mine, and if anybody else has anything to say, I will sit here like a brick wall, unmovable.
I have a feeling
I-
that's not the case.
They're my two as well. But also PTA for Magnolia. Almodovar.
Almodovar is right up there.
Yep.
Sophia
Yeah.
Coppola
Hmm.
for the Virgin Suicides would be
Anthony Minghella.
Anthony Minghella. I
I have a million on here, but
Mike
yeah.
Lee for Topsy Turvy.
Hmm.
Fincher,
Fincher.
Fight Club.
Who directed Inspector Gadget?
You can look that up.
I know that this name is not going to get any votes, but I'm just going to throw it out because I really like it. I think that Sleepy Hollow is top tier Tim Burton,
It is.
and I
I like that movie.
I really
Mhm.
love the like hammer horror atmosphere that he creates for that movie. And I think it is a lot better than you would think it would be on the page, especially with, I mean, I don't think it's a badly written movie, but it like the script is just not that much. It's one of the few times I think Burton actually really does elevate the material that he has given. So again, I know it's not getting votes, but I just wanted to mention it that I think that is a very strong directorial achievement from Tim Burton.
Perfect material meeting the director.
Yeah.
Honestly. Like that, and the production design for that movie is insane. It's
Yep.
it's one of his best. Yeah, mine are going to be mine are going to be the Wachowskis and Claire Denis.
All right, so was that at least 3 for Denis, if I'm remembering? 4? We putting Denis through?
I think I'm comfortable with my 1 and 2.
Okay, Erik, and those are?
And it's Kubrick and Denis.
Those are my
That's
2
exactly
as well.
what I had.
So we're going to put, so it sounds like we're putting Stanley Kubrick and Claire Denis in there.
That would be 3 for both already. So I'm not sure what else can be done.
Yeah.
Unless, again,
I'm just going to say this.
You've got some, if you have some negotiating, then let's
I'm just
do
saying
it.
we didn't nominate The Matrix in screenplay.
No.
But to not nominate the Wachowskis in director.
I kind of feel like we need to do,
which is a movie that, if you then look below the line in all the categories, is a movie that then you're like, okay, well, this movie seems like it's going to get those top nominations. It also seems like for the achievement it is, for the movie it is, it's like, how could you not?
But here's what happened. It came up against Eyes Wide Shut and Beau Travail.
I would make the argument that Eyes Wide Shut is not the best work by Stanley Kubrick.
It's my favorite Kubrick.
It's top
over Barry Lyndon.
Oh, after Barry Lyndon,
it's like 4. It's like top 4 or 5 for me, but he's, on my Mount Rushmore. So
I think it's a very good movie, but for me, it is not The Matrix.
I'm not sure you're making the argument for one of the 3 to move their vote, though.
I mean, I'm clearly not going to.
Because yes, you can. I think any of us can. We have made choices, and I know there's been side conversations. So
Well, here's what I would say about The Matrix. For me, is that I can understand, especially when we had the conversation with like screenplay, that you don't find that to be like the element of that movie that makes it. But then I think you can absolutely talk about the filmmaking behind that and how innovative it is, and not just like for that particular moment, but that is a movie that has had such a ripple effect in terms of how we write movies, how we make movies. And I think a lot of that comes from the innovation of the filmmaking from the Wachowskis. And I do think that is something that you have to really weigh heavily with them. And I think for somebody like Kubrick, it's incredible work from Kubrick, absolutely. But it also, to me, still feels of a piece of his entire filmography. And I don't know if that, like going head to head, if that is enough for me to overcome the complete innovation that the Wachowskis brought to The Matrix with that movie.
It is the most influential movie of the year, I think, probably by a long shot. It would be in my 5.
And
not in this exercise. It does not make the cut because these are my top 2 and they weren't nominated. So it's
and if we kind of look at this from the perspective of what we are doing is replacing what we feel are the mistakes that the Academy made. And maybe they thought the very same thing. They loved The Matrix. They gave it 4 Oscars. They stopped short of above the line categories because there is that stigma and that regard for sci-fi, horror, and genre films that keeps it in its corner. So we're essentially kind of doing the same thing, except instead of doing it with pieces of shit like the Cider House Rules, we are pushing forth pretty incredible movies. So, I mean, I understand the Matrix argument. It is insanely influential. But if you also look at Eyes Wide Shut being Kubrick's last, there is no and would be no more opportunity for him.
There was never another opportunity for the Wachowskis after that.
That's the other argument. What did they do with the cachet that they built from this massive success and influential film? I think it would be, there's an argument to say that it was squandered and not improved on. Where others,
or there's an argument, that it was, they took it and made big bets and risks that you could have only done after
100%.
And mostly
100%.
that not many directors, from even this year ever did again. You know what I mean?
Even getting Warner Brothers to make another Matrix as they just ripped them to shreds. It was great. It was awesome.
Yeah. I mean,
That movie rules.
Yeah, movie rules.
Yeah, no, it's very good.
So, but I do think that the votes are leaning towards Stanley Kubrick, and that's okay.
I totally understand all of the arguments that Josh brought to the fore, but again, it's just these are my 1 and 2 that were not nominated, and so Matrix is going to barely miss the cut. If you were asking me my personal 5, Matrix is in there. It just doesn't make it in this exercise. So
yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Nominees are Spike Jonze.
And I just wish Stanley was here to see it.
Spike Jonze, Michael Mann, M. Night Shyamalan, Claire Denis, and Stanley Kubrick. Sophia, who are you picking?
Ooh, come back to me for a second, because I was debating what I was going to do with your Matrix arguments for a little, and then so just come back to me.
Jay?
I'm going to go Kubrick over Denis by a hair.
Okay. Josh?
I am going to go with Spike Jonze.
Oh,
Love that.
I love that.
I love
Spike Jonze. He's one of my favorites.
He's awesome.
I love that too.
Give us another movie.
Seriously.
Where the hell's that been?
He's working on Dirty
I'm making
Grandpa
Jackass collaborations
Whatever.
and Apple commercials and make a movie. Damn it!
Was he
I
Bad
think it's
Grandpa or Dirty
underrated.
Grandpa?
I think it's underrated too that David
Bad.
Fincher is in Being John Malkovich
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
twice in the 2 little interview sections. I love that so much.
I need to rewatch that. I'm going to rewatch that.
Eric?
And Brad Pitt is too, for that matter.
Yeah.
Eric, your vote? Jones, Mann, Shyamalan, Denis, Kubrick.
As also my top 2, Kubrick and Denis in this. This is actually really tough, but I'd be hard pressed to go against Kubrick, so I won't.
My vote is a man by the name of Michael Mann for The Insider.
I'm glad he was here.
A great film.
I mean, I don't know how many people just like traveled all the way across state lines just to get a shot of a mailbox, for Christ's sake. But he sure did. I think Mann is one of the directors of definitely the 90s, definitely 90s, 2000s. I think this is sort of the culmination of all the great things that he's done then and what he will go on to continue to do in the next decade. I think that this is
That could have been the driest movie ever made.
and it is
Yeah.
got a propulsion to it.
It is a thriller.
That is relevant and terrifying, and you feel the dread of all the decisions that Crow's character has to make, and then you see and feel the urgency of what Pacino is fighting for, and it's of the great political, journalistic thrillers of all time. And I think Mann's direction is absolutely fantastic. And even against the Wachowskis, this would be my winner.
Congrats to 3rd or 4th place to him. I'm happy for him.
So Michael Mann.
And it's got a man overlooking a body of water contemplatively.
Yeah.
Which you got to have.
Michael Mann pretty good at his job.
Indeed.
So Sophia.
It's Kubrick for me. It's a masterpiece, one of my favorite movies ever. And I think it's very different from other films in his filmography, and very it's held up remarkably well while also being a time capsule of 99.
Right. Stanley Kubrick. You finally have an Oscar.
He has an Oscar.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
For visual effects
Visual
for 2001.
Oh, that's right. I always forget about the visual effects one. Well, you have a Best Director Oscar.
That's more accurate to say.
There you go.
Yes.
Sorry.
Congrats.
There's-
to the
I'm not like one.
Kubrick
I'm not like one of those
estate.
people that thinks that getting a category outside of their category they're known for is not an Oscar. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah,
There's
that's
just,
stupid.
there's just something. Well, okay, that's silly.
Yeah.
That's
well,
like
that's
saying,
you
that's
know,
like
shout
saying
out.
certain
shout out to
EGOT
our
categories
friend-
don't count, even though they do.
Well, shout out to our friend Mark Johnson who
Yeah.
definitely doesn't believe in that. And I love you, Mark, but you're wrong. But
it's sort of
Brad
like
Pitt was an
saying
Oscar winner before.
Oscar
Yeah.
winner Wes Anderson.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
But
Brad Pitt was an Oscar winner before Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Oh my God, I get so mad when like legitimate outlets like don't recognize that properly.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that makes me so mad.
But yes, best director winner. Sorry, my bad.
Way to go, Stan.
In my mind, I always forgot that. Anyway, best picture, last one: American Beauty, Cider House Rules, The Green Mile, The Insider, and The Sixth Sense.
How is this not obvious?
We have to cut 3.
I think we have to cut 3.
We said we were going to cut 3, right?
Yeah.
That's
we said we could. We said
we could
go
cut 3, but we will cut 3. I believe that I don't even need to ask the group. The 3 would be The Cider House Rules, The Green Mile, and American Beauty. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yes.
then I can write down
Easy.
Maybe.
The Insider. Eric, do you have something you'd like to
Oh yeah,
add?
you like American Beauty.
What would you kick out, Eric?
I don't know. Do I want to just be kind of cunty about this and say maybe The Sixth Sense? But
okay.
You were ready for him to say The Insider.
I was so fucking ready for him to say something.
I love The Insider. You know that. I wasn't going to be diabolical.
That was
or go against my
I was about to take a flight.
You were leaning. Ryan was leaning into the mic like what?
But
I was about to literally fly to California right now.
Honestly, for your reaction, I kind of wish I had said.
I know you kind of would. But anyway,
no. I'll agree to American Beauty.
Okay. So
all right, so Eyes Wide Shut just one director. I assume at least 3 of us will put it in picture.
Okay. All
Of course.
We'll put that.
I also assume, based on the reaction to director, that Beau Travail will probably be a popular selection for this category. It is a selection of mine.
It's also a selection of mine.
It's also a selection of mine.
Gosh.
No.
We've got an alliance
I'm fine
here.
with that.
We've got an alliance, the majority alliance.
Okay, and then Beau Travail.
It's funny how this works out sometimes.
The cold, serious.
I think the last spot has
Project 1999 over here.
I don't need to make it. I don't think Josh needs to make the arguments anymore, and I don't need to make it. But I'm going to need to continue to bang the drum and just say, The Matrix should be in the 5. If
It's
not,
my
what else?
9. But it's up there.
I
will throw out Magnolia.
Well, I'm not. Well, that one I am going to say no to Magnolia. For me personally, I'm not going to advocate.
Yeah, I'm not
for
putting
that.
Magnolia in over The Matrix.
Really?
I wouldn't do that either. However, for me, I actually would do Being John Malkovich just a little bit more over The Matrix, but those are like the two top.
That's actually my next one, is Being John Malkovich. I'm with Josh on this one. I misread.
I have more
Malkovich.
passion for The Matrix and director than necessarily for picture. Both are very important, but just between the two, a little bit more passion for me with Being John Malkovich, which, spoiler alert, is actually my favorite movie of 1999. So that's why I have to really advocate for it.
It does. If we're righting the wrongs, though, and I know I am like the lowest on the Wachowskis here, it does feel strange not to have The Matrix
Or
in
it's
any
just
category
consistent with the
aside
past.
from Lawrence Fishburne.
Sophia, do you just not value your time? Is that the problem?
Or I mean, to Eric's point earlier, it's actually just history repeating itself.
With different movies, but at least better ones.
I mean, the 3 I would vote for are Eyes Wide Shut, Magnolia, and Beau Travail. And actually, I would probably do All About My Mother before Beau Travail. Not to complicate things further, but just that's my.
I would put Beau Travail over All About My Mother. Mine would be Eyes Wide Shut, Malkovich, Beau Travail. Actually,
this is so hard.
I think Eyes Wide Shut and Beau Travail are already in, so we don't have to worry about that.
Okay, so we just need one more.
We're talking about one slot.
Malkovich.
I haven't. I know.
Eric, what do you?
And Jay, those were those two.
It sounded like you were siding with him. You guys had because They were
I
your
thought
top
Erik
two
was
in director.
firmly Beau Travail.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay, Erik.
I'm firmly Eyes Wide Shut.
Okay, well then that's in.
I feel like my next would be All About My Mother.
Okay.
And obviously common sense would say Beau Travail would be my next, but I want Mr. Ripley in here. It deserved so much more than it got.
Yeah.
And we have
it is our screenplay winner.
We have multiple nominations for Beau Travail now. That happened.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I want to say for myself, my 1, 2, 3 is Eyes Wide Shut, All About My Mother, and Talented Mr. Ripley.
Interesting. Josh?
I mean, I will admit I'm not as high on Eyes Wide Shut as other people are, but it sounds like from the consensus here, it's okay. That's fine. I still really do love Being John Malkovich. That's another one for me that as I said, it's my favorite movie of the year.
Yeah.
You know what? I do really like The Talented Mr. Ripley. I think that would be my number 3.
I do love Ripley. I would be more than happy with it in.
Yeah, I think I'm probably lowest on that one, but I like it too. So
okay. I think
it'd be weird. I think it would be weird if we didn't have Beau Travail in there, but that's okay.
No, I think Beau Travail's. Well,
no, we backtracked on that.
Oh, did we backtrack on Beau Travail?
Now it's not in Eric's 3.
I think we took it from like a definite to a
maybe.
Oh, probably. Okay. You know,
I'm okay with it though if it has the actor Wynn and Claire Denis in. If we mix
that's where my head is.
Yeah.
Okay. So Malkovich and Ripley? Is that
I'm
going
to say what happened to Magnolia, but I also understand I can't win every battle.
I would pick Magnolia over Ripley, but
I mean, I would say The Matrix over all of them, but it looks like the consensus is
The Matrix is over. You need to get over it. It's not happening.
Yep.
Quit trying to make fetch happen, Ryan.
This was just not the group, Ryan, unfortunately.
It's all right. It's all right. Let's go Talented and Malkovich.
As what?
Or Magnolia?
Well, wait, where's
All About My Mother?
Was I the only All About My Mother?
No, Sophia was All About My Mother, weren't you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm very pro All About. I would have All About My Mother above. I would have it above Magnolia.
I would have All About My Mother
Ripley.
in there. I don't mind that film. I love that film.
What if we did All About My Mother?
Malkovich.
Malkovich with Eyes Wide Shut.
I think that's pretty good.
I'm at peace with that.
I like that.
That's Josh's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Very diplomatic of all of us.
I can go for that. So that makes us 4 for 5 in picture director, right? Because Claire Denis is in, but she's not in.
And you wonder how these things happen with the Academy.
Exactly. See,
Yeah.
they're having old-fashioned snail mail meetings. I'm voting for Magnolia.
All right. Let's give out a best picture. I'll go first.
Can you read them again? Just so that we have it.
Yeah. So no, that's fine. The Insider, The Sixth Sense, Eyes Wide Shut, Being John Malkovich, and All About My Mother. I don't know why I did it in order. I almost went like reverse alphabetical. I'm going with The Insider. It's my favorite movie of 1999. And it's my favorite Michael Mann. I'm a fan of the movies of Michael Mann, and I'm a fan of this movie. I think it's incredible. I know I'm probably in the lone descent on it. That's okay. But I think very rare films in cinema over the last couple of years, and especially the last 25 years, sort of feel as propulsive and as interesting as a movie like this does for its subject matter. And I think that, this was one of the last times where I think we all universally, at least most of the Academy at least, really went for across the board a Michael Mann movie. And I think Crow is fantastic. I think Plummer's fantastic. I think Pacino's incredible. There are just certain shots too. Like it just could be set, like there's a moment in The Insider, not to go on a little bit of a tangent here, just one quick thing, where I don't know how he got away with it, because it's when Pacino's meeting him in Kentucky in this hotel. And he's just saying, and it's just a setup, like, I'm going to meet you there. I'm going to be reading the New York Times. There's like 13 cuts before from the moment we get to that hotel to when they actually meet. And every part of that is just growing this detail of this scene that doesn't feel like it needs to. And yet it's like, yeah, of course I want to see every single one of these people or this shot or this angle or this moment. Because you can feel the intensity just growing from every meeting, every phone call, every conversation. I think it's great. And yeah, that would be my pick. Sophia.
I'm voting for my favorite movie of 1999, which is Eyes Wide Shut. I love talking about Kubrick, and my favorite Kubrick movies are Barry Lyndon, Eyes Wide Shut, and The Shining. And I love that they show how funny and terrifying insecure married men can be. And I think this one is probably the pinnacle of that, and also ties in how Kubrick and people at the time really were thinking about sex and how all-consuming it was. And I think that's a really exciting idea for a Best Picture winner. And it's a masterpiece, as we said before.
Josh, I believe I know what your vote is, but if you want to just say it.
Yep, for the record, it is Being John Malkovich, which is my favorite movie of the year.
Yeah. We're all voting for our favorite movies of the year. It's kind of great.
What a novel concept.
J-Doc.
Yeah, I'm going Eyes Wide Shut. My favorite film of the year as well. It is a confounding experience in and of itself that will have you thinking about it for the rest of your life, which is how I've experienced that film. Watching that film is an just all-consuming experience, and it's so thoughtful and aesthetically gorgeous and meticulous and all that stuff. The meta commentary you could talk about for days. So Eyes Wide Shut.
Okay. Erik Anderson.
I am also going Eyes Wide Shut. One of my favorite things is when a director puts a couple in a movie together that are a real life couple that have an enormous amount of baggage with them and is able to do something either fascinating or absolutely like left turn. And I think he does that with Kidman and Cruise, and it had to be at exactly this point at this time in their marriage. Yeah, I think it is absurdly good. I think they are both perfect. We have talked a little bit about the endings of movies of this year.
One of the great,
probably the best ending, greatest line in the history. Yeah, I think it capitalizes on the things about Kidman and Cruise that make them so, or made them at least really at the time, so exciting as performers. But where this for Cruise was one of his, turns into trying to not just be a blockbuster guy, but be a serious actor. So he was really trying to get himself a career that had this kind of movie on it and worked with these kind of directors. Whereas Kidman, this was where she was already going, and then was able to balance really kind of both in such a great way. So I don't know. I just this is one of my favorite couples movies of all time, ever. They were just Virginia Woolfing the shit out of it. I love it.
Might watch this tonight. I think that's what I do with my evening, with my wife, the way it should be seen.
Obviously, I think you need to show this to your wife for the first time and see how she feels about it.
She's definitely not. Yeah, I'll preface it by saying this is one of my favorite movies ever. I need you to understand that this is exactly how I feel day to day living with you. And then I think that's the context in which we should watch the movie.
Yes, and then say nothing while it's on.
Yes. Anyway, congratulations to Stanley Kubrick again.
Yeah.
Big winner of the night.
Big winner of the night.
The new Sam Mendes is Stanley Kubrick.
Exactly. Well, that's our 99 shoulda, coulda, woulda game. Our retrospective on the year of 1999. Go see a lot of these movies. Go watch a lot of these movies. There's a lot of great movies that we didn't even talk about. And so as we're closing out here, Josh, can you tell everybody where they can find you and all your work on the internet? And can you give like maybe a movie that we didn't talk about? Maybe there's also a guilty pleasure from 1999 that you want to just throw out there and mention for the audience before we get out of here, Josh.
Well, you can find me on Twitter and Letterboxd at JR Parham, and you can find all of my work on Next Best Picture and AwardsWatch. And a movie that actually is one of my favorites from this year. It's not a guilty pleasure. It's like a legitimately great movie, in my opinion, that we didn't talk about because there really wasn't a place to talk about it. But it is American Movie, which I think is
still mine, Josh.
An incredible film. Well, good. I'm glad that could be the final button on this episode. But I love that film. I mean, I have a special kinship to it, obviously, because it's about a bunch of people from the Midwest trying to get a movie made. Like, I feel a very special connection to that kind of a group, but it is so endearing, and just the passion on display from people that do not have the means nor really even the talent to make a good movie, but they have just the dream to do so. And it is an inspiring tale, and I absolutely love it. It is not just my favorite documentary this year, but it really is one of my favorite films from the year as well.
Yeah, it's a great movie. Great movie. Jay Ledbetter.
Yeah.
Where can we find you? Guilty pleasure, undiscovered gem from 99.
Yeah, you can find me trying to figure out where exactly I hurt Josh Parham in the past. Mostly, we'll figure that out maybe on some of the other shows I'm a participant of. But no, this was really fun. Find me on Letterboxd, Jay Ledbetter, Twitter at Mr. J Ledbetter. As far as film we haven't discussed, Summer of Sam is one of my underrated Spike Lees. I really like that movie. That's one that you almost never hear talked about in the greater Spike Lee filmography, but I think that's a really great one. Cookie's Fortune, an Altman movie. Sorry, Josh. It's an Altman movie. I'm trying. Actually, you know what? For Josh, I hate it.
Sophia?
No, Cookie's Fortune is very good as well. I like that movie.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sophia?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Sophia_Sim, Letterboxd at Faye Dunaway, where you can read my little blurb on the Faye Dunaway documentary on HBO Max titled
Mixed.
Yeah, not great. Read her autobiography instead. You can find all my work at AwardsWatch, and you can find my podcast at Oscar Wilde Pod. We release episodes every Friday. And Guilty Pleasure movie, I mentioned Cruel Intentions already, but I'll add 10 Things I Hate About You, which I really loved growing up and is a really fun adaptation of The Taming of the Shrew, starring Julia Stiles, of course. The Heath Ledger performance in this really took me out as a teen. Also stars Oppenheimer favorite David Krumholtz. It's just really fun. So recommend that one.
Erik Anderson.
You can find me on Twitter at awards_watch, at AwardsWatch everywhere else, and then obviously awardswatch.com. I was going to say 10 Things I Hate About You because I had been trumpeting Titus and its Shakespeare adaptation, and 10 Things is an incredible adaptation of Taming of the Shrew. Heath Ledger, my God, so missed. So gosh, I know I mentioned Drop Dead Gorgeous. I think the one I only got one quickie mention of that I didn't get to do more of was Go, which one of my favorite ensembles of the year. But it is kind of insane that we have made it 3 hours and 15 minutes without really talking about the Blair Witch Project. In terms of,
well, look at that. We ran out of time.
We did a tiny bit, but not really, because, you know, this and The Sixth Sense and The Matrix all completely changed filmmaking and filmmakers forever. And I love Blair Witch. And again, it was also like The Sixth Sense, where it was at the perfect time of cell phones and internet not being what they are now and no social media. So being able to discover things was unique still. And yeah, it's not a hidden gem, but it is something that I think for its time was as perfect as it could be.
Yeah. Wait, the Boondock Saints came out this year?
Yeah.
We didn't talk about that?
We're not.
Wow. Talk about a movie that just sort of.
It's time for a bro down hoedown.
Always together.
Jesus Christ. I had friends at the time
that was like their greatest movie.
Older.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Jesus, they were like obsessed with that film. And good God. Like
Defoe
was
and
it
supporting
like
actor?
Stock and Two Smoking Barrels that year too?
I think so.
I think
it was around then. I think it was a
Mhm.
little before that.
Something. It just it's in that grouping of guys that are just dudes.
Yeah. Guys being dudes.
Yeah.
Guys being dudes.
Lock, Stock was the year before.
Okay.
You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd at Ryan McQuade 77. You can find all my work here at AwardsWatch.com. If you like podcasts, Jay and I, we do this podcast called Director Watch. It's released every Thursdays.
Oh, yeah, I didn't mention that.
Yeah, you should have. Yeah,
Great job by me.
I'll do your job for you.
Just so blinded by the hate for me that he forgets to.
I'm punch drunk. I'm in a weird place.
This week's a big episode. We're talking about Man on Fire this week. So great episode. Already recorded it. It's good stuff. Go check it out on Thursdays. iTunes, Spotify, 5-star reviews, greatly appreciated. While you're over on the website, sign up for the newsletter. That's something Erik didn't mention. Sign up for the newsletter, where you can sign up for that and get all of our news, reviews, interviews, podcasts all sent to you twice a week. If Erik's up to sending it twice a week.
Yeah, sometimes it's once a week.
Sometimes it's once, but
want to overwhelm people.
But we know that you'll get it. We don't want to forget that it's not underrated movie. It's a movie that Jay and I talked about last year. And I really love it. I didn't get to mention it. Was Ratcatcher from Lynn Ramsey.
Yeah, very good film.
Very good film. Very good debut. And then I know this is kind of a
favorite Lynn Ramsey movie. I think that's my favorite.
I think so. Yeah. And another movie. I saw this a couple months ago. It's not like a underrated gem. It's based off of an existing IP that's pretty big, but South Park Bigger, Longer, and Uncut.
South Park
it still holds up pretty damn well. And it's a straight up musical, and it's hilarious.
That's right.
And I loved it, and it has such an interesting commentary on censorship that is still quite relevant to this day. So I would highly recommend people. I know that the show and the creators can wane on a lot of people, but really that movie has aged kind of pretty well for the most part, because most comedies don't. That's the thing about most of these comedies this year. They've actually aged pretty well. For most of also Bowfinger.
American Pie.
Aged
like a fine wine.
Boy, talk about an influential movie too.
Exactly. We will be back next week. We will be talking about Twisters, and we'll be talking about our favorite disaster movies. So thank you all so much for listening, and we will see you all next time.